One. Hello, Topical folk, and welcome to your number one source for thought-provoking entertainment from a teenager who supposedly still has a maturing brain. I'll let you all be the judges of that. Originally, I thought I'd be recording with 5 people in 8 days, but even with 2 cancellations, we still got Zach Gager on Friday and the NBA All-Star Special on Sunday. That special has literally been in the works for 2 months, so I hope you all are excited for that as I am. They're going to be great. They won't be as landmarked as what I have for you today, though. I've reached out to Andrea 3 times, Amber 2 times, Annika once, and still, 12 episodes in, we haven't had a representative of 50% of the population on the podcast yet. How discriminatory. Even without subsidies, you gotta think Title IX would be breathing down my back by now. Legislative homicide. I've got a real treat for you all to start off this packed week. We're doing a threesome, folks. Jennifer, Melody, and your beloved host. So after all that monologue, let's get right into things. Something fun for the audience would be for you two to do opening statements where you summarize your characters so that they can compare your perceptions of yourself to what they learn. Since as much as Topical is about the beautiful listeners learning and being entertained, it's also about you learning a little bit about yourself too. So what you got?
Okay, well, thank you for having us, Ryan. We're so excited. My name is Melody. I would consider myself to be a pretty friendly, upbeat person. I kind of have I don't know, I can be pretty friendly with people, but at the same time, if I'm in like a new situation, I can be more reserved. But I would consider myself pretty I don't know, determined, goal oriented, and yeah, and so Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Babowski, and I would definitely say I'm a pretty open-minded person in general, and I try to be laid back and just take things as they come, but I still am very school-oriented like Melody here.
Yeah, but yeah, we have kind of a little bit opposite personalities, but very similar also. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the colleges will be really impressed. So let's start you off with softball. So who's the funniest person you know in real life?
In real life,
I would say, probably maybe one of our teachers. We have some pretty funny ones. We both think Mr. Clark is like the funniest human ever. So, Mr. Clark is definitely in the top 10.
and so is Mr. D on accident.
Oh,
usually.
yes. Mr.
Oh yeah,
D
he's
is
great.
so funny.
So, who do you think as you were saying, we've had fantastic teachers at our school. Who's been your favorite teacher in your 4 years?
I would have to say Mr. Johns.
Mm.
I felt like he was like a living legend in my side. He stuck with me since freshman year, even though he's gone.
Yeah. I think for me, one of my favorite teachers is Miss Haley. I've had her for journalism since 10th grade, so I had her for 3 years. So I know her very well, and she's just like the sweetest human ever. So I love her so much. She's great.
Yeah, I can relate to that with Miss Haley. She's been amazing this year, and Mr. Johns, he really has like a Dr. E style about him. And, like I kind of and like the relationship you have with Miss Haley, I kind of have with Mr. D, except he's Mr. D.
Yeah, I definitely love Mr. D though. He's so funny, so I love him a lot.
All right, so how comfortable are you guys about talking about politics?
I'm a little bit more comfortable talking about it than Melody is, I would say.
I'm comfortable talking about it, but at the same time, like some opinions, I don't want to make them too out there because you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean we're both fairly comfortable, I'd say.
Okay, we'll see if we run into any roadblocks. So, do you think countries should get rid of birthright citizenship? Like, you're born and then you're suddenly a citizen?
I don't think they should get rid of birthright citizenship.
Yeah, I would agree with Jennifer.
Yeah,
I feel like it is like a stable part of America. It's been around for a really long time. And I think that mostly the opposition towards it is that illegal immigrants will come and they'll have children here and their children will automatically be citizens. But I don't think that's a good enough reason to eliminate birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like my idea of like the idealized world is like a crazy thing where like no country has it, and like you can get a visa anywhere you want for a certain amount of time, and then you spend your time proving your worthiness in that country, and if you fail, you have to get a visa somewhere else. But obviously, that's incredibly rosy tinted.
Hmm.
Which cities do you guys think are closer together? Boston to Portland, Maine, or Boston to New York City?
Wow. Um, I'm pretty sure it's closer to New York City. Is it not? I've been to both of
I
all
have
three of
not
those
been
cities.
north a lot, so that's more of a Jennifer question.
I'm
I'd
pretty
say.
sure I'll get it wrong, but I've been to all three cities. Is it closer to Portland?
Yeah, it's twice as close to Portland actually.
Oh, you wouldn't think that based on maps.
Yeah, everyone always forgets how far down Maine goes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They're both pretty close to Massachusetts.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you think Virginia should have more snow plows, especially considering how many snow days we've had this year?
Well, logically, I think there should be more snow plows, but I don't want to go.
Yeah, I'd say I think we're good just the way we are.
Yeah. You're doing a great job.
Good job, Chesterfield County.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It seems like we've had. I don't remember in elementary school having a lot of snow days. Granted, I was up in Maryland, but it seems like ever since high school we've had like 6 a year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last year we had like none because I was just thinking seriously whether I'm a junior and this is the year I need it the most and
Yeah.
just didn't come through for me. So
Do you think schools should contract teachers and staff for a couple extra days into the summer as a backup if we miss school for snow days? I'm guessing not, since you guys love your snow days.
I think that they need some sort of way to schedule back that time, but I don't necessarily think taking away our like half days at the end of the month is the best approach. I think that adding a couple minutes onto the school day is probably like the best approach because usually you wouldn't notice it as much, but you're still getting in that extra curriculum time.
Yeah, I would say the thing I don't like about how they do it right now is when we add 5 minutes to the end of the day, it doesn't really, I think, effectively make up anything that we've missed. Since it's only like a minute a class. I know. I was talking about this with Miss Haley actually, and she was saying if they added like 10 minutes to every school day for the entire school year, we would make up and have an extra 6 days of school, I believe. That could be there for like snow days, and you probably wouldn't even really notice it on day-to-day basis. So I feel like that could potentially be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Didn't we do something like that in freshman year? Like
I know we did it one year at least.
Yeah, I feel like I remember it being like 15 minutes longer.
15 minutes, yeah. I believe they're doing that again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I believe after spring break, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So how
it doesn't affect too much.
Yeah. How bad do you think the wage gap really is?
Well, I think it's definitely a significant problem that typically gets ignored or like they use different reasonings to justify the wage gap, but
And the age gap too.
But I think that a lot of businesses, like you'll hear about people with the same job, like man and a woman, and the man will get paid more, and they'll use different justifications for the man's pay, but if they're doing the same job, they should be receiving the same pay.
Yes, I wholeheartely agree. In terms of wage gap between men and women, and I think between like wage gap in terms of like social classes.
As well as race.
Also, yeah, I definitely think that is an issue. I feel like the approach should be more so in because cycles of poverty in different like cities or areas within the United States are really just cycles that people can't really get out of because they don't have the resources to do so. So I feel like providing those people with the resources to do so is a much better approach, just because it'll actually help solve the issues for those people. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and it's a tremendous problem at the executive level. Like when you have all of those old people who've just been born into the system and they don't really have any reason to get rid of their discrimination ways, it's definitely a huge problem. I'm yet to be convinced it's a problem at like the normal level, but yeah, like they really got to do something about that glass ceiling.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
We agree.
Yeah. So I know in AP Gov something we talked a lot about was the Equal Rights Amendment. Do you think that would pass today?
Could you clarify that for us?
Yeah. So in the 1970s, there was a huge push to actually get a constitutional amendment for women to be equal under law in all cases, and
Yeah.
it was getting really close to being passed. It was going through the Article 5 convention, where you have to get 3/4 of the states to call for a vote on it, which is 38 states, I believe, and they got up to, I believe, 34, and then like it basically failed because there was a bunch of public backlash because it would have meant that women would have to be a part of the draft. So do you think it would pass today?
I personally feel like it would. I mean, the part about the draft, I feel like would be the most controversial part of it. But I think nowadays a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people are more accepting of women as being equal in society, and there are a lot more women leaders in politics and people like standing for up for them in like political leadership roles. So
That's true.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem in the 70s was that was during the height of the Vietnam War, and you've got all the hippies calling against it, and but I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of political distractions away from female equality.
oh yeah. So what's your do you guys watch movies at all?
yes,
We definitely watch movies.
Okay, good. Then somebody does at least. Okay, so what's your guys' least favorite trends in movies right now? Like that you see across movies, and you're like, oh, can you stop doing that?
I really do not like remakes usually. I feel like
Oh,
a lot of the
yeah.
times they don't have the proper approach and they take it from a weird angle.
Yeah, I would say a lot of old Disney movies that are like animated. I love Disney movies. So,
Oh yeah.
And right now they're kind of going through a phase, I guess, where they're remaking a lot of the old ones in like live action performances, which a lot of them are good, I guess. Like I really liked Beauty and the Beast was really good, and
Yeah.
I know they were doing, I think,
They
Mulan,
are, yeah.
which I will definitely watch, but in a way, I don't like it because I feel like it kind of takes away from like the simplicity of the original movie. So
And it's typically pretty redundant. Like they're going through the exact same plot. And
yeah.
I appreciate it more if they like had a little bit of a change on the original or just added some different element so it wasn't just like a carbon copy
Yes.
of the original.
Yeah. Speaking of that Mulan remake, do you think Hollywood movies should whitewash in their movies, if you know what that is?
I definitely think they should not whitewash, especially when you know that all the characters in Mulan are Chinese.
Yes.
They need to, and Chinese actors, they don't have enough like opportunities in Hollywood for movie roles. And if we're gonna do a Chinese movie, they should definitely use Chinese actors.
Yeah, I feel like depending on the movie, obviously with like the culture it's supposed to represent, it should be representative of that culture. But for movies that don't really have distinct characters as like distinct races, I feel like the part should be given based off the talent of the actors, and that's how they should be chosen. If there's not like they have to be a certain race to convey something about the movie. So
Yeah, it seems pretty cut and dry. I can see the arguments for why it's better for not appearing, appealing to the public, and like they're used to one race. But come on, you got to get used to it.
They're never going to get accustomed to different races in Hollywood if we keep whitewashing movies.
Certainly. You guys mentioned Disney movies. Are you bigger fans of Disney movies or Pixar movies?
I personally am a bigger Disney fan because I love like the music in Disney, but I definitely love Pixar too. I really love Up, which I believe is a Pixar movie,
Yeah.
and that's like the sweetest movie ever. So I really like that movie, and Toy Story is really good. So Pixar definitely does have some great movies as well, which I believe Pixar is owned by Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like in a lot of ways they're pretty similar, except they're less music based. I think.
Yeah, I struggle with the distinction between the two, and like knowing which movies are Pixar.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially nowadays when Disney's more and more making movies that are closer to Pixar. Like if you go back and you look at something like Frozen, that would be a Pixar movie back like 10 years ago, but now Disney's changed its style so much because of the success of Pixar that they've really embraced animation and they're really becoming a good stalwart for the industry.
Yeah, I feel like with Frozen, because I really like that movie. I feel like any movie with like an animated kids movie with like some sort of like princess figure, it like has to be Disney, you know. So
Yeah.
I definitely would think Frozen falls more under Disney than Pixar personally, but
I agree.
Yeah. So if you could only watch movies or any TV for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
That's a great question.
that really is. Oh, so like shows or movies?
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
I would probably side with TV shows just because they're longer in length, but I feel like movies, there's like higher quality movies out there.
yeah. I would say for me, on a day-to-day basis, which I don't really watch that much TV, honestly, but when I do, I prefer watching shows normally. Like, I'd rather watch like 3 episodes of The Office than a movie a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why. I guess I get more invested in the plot in shows sometimes.
Yeah, it has a slower build up.
I
Yeah.
don't know. And plus they're shorter and sometimes I don't want to watch like an hour and a half of something, but I feel like for a lifetime I would choose movies because some movies it's just like you have to see them
There's
and they're just
classics.
so good. Yeah, like
Mhm.
classics. So I'd probably say movies.
I feel like modernly a lot of teenagers have been a lot more into TV shows rather than movies lately.
At
Like
least on
when you-
Netflix.
yeah, because of Netflix. And Netflix doesn't have like the best movies on their platform,
Yeah.
so TV shows are usually the go-to.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys usually use subscription services like Netflix or Hulu or whatever that are ones the kids are doing nowadays, or do you still stick with cable?
I just have Netflix, and then I think I have HBO.
Yeah, my family has Netflix and we have Amazon Prime. So like the Amazon TV Fire Stick thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's great because they have on the Amazon they have The Amazing Race, which Netflix doesn't have, and so that is valuable to me. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. I see Netflix doesn't have any SpongeBob on it, and Amazon Prime has that. And I can even get my stuff a day early. Let's see.
I mainly have the HBO subscription for Game of Thrones, but HBO subscription is a lot more expensive than Netflix, despite having less TV shows, which
Yeah.
bothers me.
Now, here's another interesting question. Would you rather only be able to watch Netflix or YouTube for the rest of your life? And I guess you can lump Amazon Prime or whatever the other one is.
I feel like that's hard because the thing with YouTube is that it has a broader range of content. It's not just like entertainment, but you can use it for like watching a video about how to do some specific skill or learn a specific thing. So I feel like they're very different. So it's hard to compare the two.
Honestly, I would say YouTube because I feel like it connects you more to regular society. And if I could only watch one thing, I'd want to feel more connected to society. And with YouTube, there is so much content that I feel like you could be interested in different videos for longer than a Netflix shows.
Yeah, it can almost be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, there's just so many things that you
Yes.
can watch, and there's so many creators, but they're usually like less funded than Netflix shows.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of stuff about people thinking that YouTube's gonna like eventually have a competitor or something, which I mean is kind of bound to happen, but
Yeah.
eventually they're gonna kind of be obsolete, which I think will happen in the not near future,
not
but
maybe like 5
probably
years.
before Netflix. So
Yeah, I mean that's just how the market works. Luckily, they have Google on their side, so it'll last a little longer. But who knows? Disney's preparing to make a push.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, like they're starting to buy up a bunch of markets. I know they purchased a Maker, and they recently pulled the Star Wars, the Clone Wars stuff from Netflix, and like they're preparing to put all of the Star Wars stuff on like their own streaming platform, and they're starting to buy rights. So that's gonna be very interesting.
Oh.
yeah, I think either Disney or CCPS will take over the world.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what do you guys think is your favorite TV show that you've ever seen and your favorite movie that you've ever seen?
Oh wow. Well,
I think we have the favorite. Well, do you have a different favorite TV show than what I'm thinking of?
The Office is definitely up there. I know
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking.
The Office is my favorite.
It's not my favorite though. I would definitely say Game of Thrones. That is my all-time favorite. It has a very developed plot, and they work on those seasons like super hard. I would definitely say, and they develop all of their characters so well. The Office is really good for like comedic relief.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yes. I started watching The Office. I believe it was like last summer or something. But I really enjoyed it. It's one of the only shows that I like actually watched and like got really into. Two other shows I like, but they're more like reality TV is The Amazing Race and Shark Tank. So that's like the nerd in me that loves those shows. So, but the humorous part of me, I guess, like The Office, and I just love Pam and Jim. So
I love Pam
Yeah.
and Jim.
Yeah, I need to watch The Office at some point. I never got around to that, but
You definitely should.
yeah.
It's a classic.
But I actually don't know much about Game of Thrones. So is it just the plot that makes it so appealing, or is it like the themes behind it? What do you like about it?
So the best way that I can explain Game of Thrones is that it takes on like it's kind of like a fantasy in a lot of ways. There's a lot of violence in the show, but there's like different it takes on different like pathways within the same universe and with following certain characters. And then by the end, like where I am towards the end of the show, they have the pathways crossed, and they've been developing these characters and the scenarios that they've been in. And it's basically the whole show is just like different like powers in the universe are trying to compete for the ultimate throne in the universe. There's a lot of development just in the entire show. It's hard to explain just because it covers so many different scenes, and like there's books that they follow. There's just so much development in the show. I definitely say.
Some of the longest books ever written.
Yeah.
Oh.
I should read them, to be honest. I've only seen the show. I haven't read the books.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Isn't it supposed to be stopping pretty soon?
Yeah, it has one more season, and that's coming out in 2019, I believe. And so we have a decent amount of wait between the last season and the next season, and that's going to be the final concluding season.
Yeah. Okay. Has it made you interested at all in the War of the Roses?
What is the War of the Roses?
Oh, it's supposedly the historical period that J.R.R. Martin. I hope I'm getting that right. No, that's Tolkien. Whatever his name, Martin, based the books on. It was like 1300s to 1400s in England, and basically what's happening the entire time is the Lancasters are fighting the House of York for the throne of England, and there's like four rule changes in a period of like 20 years. You got Edward the Black Prince, Richard III, of Shakespearean fame.
It was based on something that actually occurred.
Yeah. And it's really interesting that he actually stole Lancaster from that.
Yeah, I recognize that name when you said that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Do you guys usually like history that much?
I like history.
Yeah, I'd say I like history, but I think Jennifer probably likes it more than I do, but I still like it. It's not like my least favorite thing, so.
I think it's fascinating. I just like learning about people. I feel like it's more comprehensible than some other subjects.
Yeah. Do you think Mr. B's been the best history teacher you've had so far?
Mr. B?
I love
Bob
Mr.
Danowitz.
B. I feel like we've had such great history teachers.
Incredible.
I loved Mr. Fout, and I loved his seminars, even though most people didn't.
I like his seminars.
Me too.
So Mr. B is just so funny, and he's one of the like teachers from sophomore year that I still like will talk to.
Yeah,
I mean I'll talk to all of them, but
he makes a lot of effort to talk to each individual student, and he's Polish, so
yeah.
Yeah, so
I gotta appreciate
over here.
As he's never afraid to throw in.
And Mr. Henry, I loved Mr.
I love
Henry.
Mr. Henry.
Yeah, me too.
He was a great teacher, so I think I don't think I could choose a favorite history teacher.
We have such like relatable history teachers. All of them were really
down
funny.
to earth.
Yeah,
individuals.
definitely down to earth.
Yeah, even Amato, even if she isn't a great teacher.
Oh,
Ooh,
Yeah,
hot
we
take.
don't have hers.
we just have Clark.
Yeah, and she's great too.
Yeah. What do you think about schools divide? That's a bad way of phrasing that. What do you think about some people not getting to take Mr. Henry's class and having to have Mr. Eichley?
I definitely heard a lot of complaints because people wanted Mr. Henry, as I'd heard like the previous grades had Mr. Henry, but there's just so many people that took AP U.S. history that they needed Eichley.
Yeah. How does that compare to what you think about the situation with general biology this year?
I would say, well, back to like with Mr. Eichley, I feel like I can't attest to that too much since I didn't have him. But I think with Miss Johnson, I think it definitely helps when everyone has the same teacher for a subject, just because it makes everyone feel like they have an even playing field. It makes things more fair for everyone. But I mean, it can't always be completely fair, and it's unfortunate. And I feel like hindsight it was probably better. They're less you know, like I don't know the class, but being outside, I feel like Miss Johnson was such an introvert of the experience. So the teachers make first experience what it is.
Yeah, it really was an unfortunate situation, and those restrictions that like they passed, that Mr. Burns passed at some point, where like you can only have like 27 people in a class, or you have to have like a planning period. I think that kind of got in the way. Like it's not terrible to have 32 people in a class, and I did the math. If you had 32 people in a class and she didn't have any planning periods, she could have done it. And frankly, I think she might have wanted to do it. Like you don't really do much in a planning period. I can't imagine. Maybe just get a little grading done. And like
Yeah, knowing Miss Johnson,
She probably gets so much done during her planning period, though.
Yeah.
I bet though, Miss Johnson's such a hard worker that she
Yeah.
would probably give up a planning period if it meant that she could teach the entire freshman class, because that meant a lot to her.
Yes, but I care so much about Miss Johnson's like mental well-being and health that I feel like we should have her planning period.
She works herself way too hard compared
really
to
does.
some of our other teachers. I've just never had a more hardworking teacher than her. I definitely say.
And who's as passionate about the subject she's teaching. Like she cares so much about it.
She makes me like more interested in science, even though that's not my favorite subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing the same lecture every 2 days, 4 times, and just still being incredibly upbeat about it. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
She just loves her subject so much.
Oh yeah. Do you think they should have let 110 people or 120 or whatever it was take the class, or should they have stuck with only having one of them?
I personally feel like what they should have done, if it were me, is maybe, which I know this is kind of harsh because I'm a senior, so of course I would say this, but I feel like maybe it'd make more sense for the juniors not to be able to take the class and just limit to seniors, and then next year, instead of field bio, which I know will hurt so many people's feelings, and I took field bio and I really enjoyed it, but field bio next year will not be a dual enrollment class.
Yeah.
It's just an honors level class, which that class is a lot of work for only for not getting college credit. So I feel like maybe they could just do dual bio, even though I know Miss Johnson loves teaching class and it was such a fun class, but I don't know, that might appeal to more people.
Yeah, I think so. And I've actually never thought of that solution to only have the seniors take it. It makes a lot of sense. And yeah, they probably should have done it, to be honest. Yeah.
I think seniors should have taken like priority. And I guess they could take some juniors to fill in the rest of the up to like 100. Just they
Well, not
needed,
100, because like it's already 120. But
so, how much would they need for her to keep her freshman class then?
I believe she had 2 classes that she lost out on, so that'd be about 50 people. So like 70.
It probably only has to be seniors then.
Yeah, unfortunately. Wait, weren't you in my freshman year class for biology? The AKA the quiet class?
I believe
we both were,
yeah.
Oh, you were? Where were you, Melody? I didn't see you. I don't see you in my mind.
I was sitting like
In
the
the middle.
front and center, and I just stared at Miss Johnson, and just smiled at the like radiance of us. So yeah.
Oh, who sat next to you?
I think we got assigned seats, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting at a table with, I remember Hope Grubbs was sitting by me. I honestly
She was
don't
in that
remember.
class?
It was alphabetical order. I still remember being next to Daniel and Olivia.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
I remember that. Good times.
I might have been next to Zach Gager. I don't know if he was in that class.
No,
I
he
honestly
wasn't.
don't really remember who was at my table.
He was.
Oh, he was? Then I'm guessing he was next to me because our last names are close together, so.
Yeah, the thing I really remember about that class is Kyle Tilshall was just flirting with Callie, but you know he kind of does that with everybody, as I'm sure you know, Melody.
Right. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your guys' schedules this year?
Well, we're taking very similar classes. The only class we don't have in common is I take AP Stat.
And I take AP Comp Sci in your class, right? But
Yeah.
the other classes we have in common, so we both take AP Gov, we both
Yeah.
take
Dual
Dual Bio, we both take AB Calculus, we both take College Comp with Miss Haley, we both take Journalism,
Gotta represent.
we
Love
both
journalism.
take Psych,
AP Psych. Yep.
and is that all of them? I think that might
That's
be
it.
all of them.
Yeah. What have you thought of AP Stats so far this year?
Well, I struggle a little bit, but not necessarily grade-wise, just like understanding exactly the concepts. I feel like since it's at the end of the day, it usually gets like the minimum of my effort, so that's probably the root of my problems.
Yeah, probably the same on her part.
Yeah.
So, what have you guys thought of journalism? I always wanted to take journalism, but I never had room in my schedule.
Oh, you should have.
See,
It's
I
great.
didn't think I'd ever have room in my schedule, and this is the first year that I've taken journalism, and it just got to the point where all of my other classes were AP or dual, and I knew I needed at least one free class.
Yeah, I could
It's not
use one right
necessarily-
now.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like a free class. I just have to write my articles and make sure they're in on time, and then I do like little assignments here and there.
Yeah, I've been taking it since sophomore year, and I took it because I wanted to take another English class because I really like English, and Miss Klein recommended it to me actually, and and I had a few other friends who were taking it, Gabby Jennings, Sydney Lopez, and Madeline Tatum. I'll say her last name too. So I decided to take it, and the overachiever in me was like, Melody, this is a C level class, because your first level is your first year, sorry, it's a C level, and then after that, it's an honors credit. So I actually thought about dropping it my junior year because I wanted to be like an overachiever who only took APs and stuff, but I decided not to, and I'm so glad I did. It's also last period every year. It's
so nice.
even, so. It's such a nice last period, and I've loved having Miss Haley, and yeah, it's a great class.
Before this year, I had been taking orchestra since freshman year, and then I didn't want to take it anymore after junior year, and that gave me like the necessary space. And I definitely say journalism is a lot more relaxing than orchestra for me, at least.
Yeah, I can understand the plight of the musician. Like it just between all the show choir people having no room, and yeah, the orchestra people, it's ridiculous how many classes you lose to that.
Definitely with show choir, I know that some people are just part of multiple show choirs.
Yeah.
And that takes up a big part of their schedule.
Speaking of taking up parts of the schedule, did you guys take a PE in school?
Yes, I did both years.
So did I.
Yeah. So, what was your experience with that? Did you like it?
I liked having it in school. I just felt like it was a time for me to socialize. So that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, I'd say I'm glad I did it in school, just because also as an underclassman, there aren't many classes you can take instead, really. You're pretty limited to what you can take, so there wasn't really anything I wanted to take instead of it, so I just decided to do it in school. I also had it first period my freshman and sophomore year, which may sound like a curse, but ended up kind of being a blessing just because it's You don't really have homework for it, and it was pretty relaxed. So yeah.
I'd agree. And I know that taking online health and PE, it definitely like brought some struggles for some people as they like tried to collect all their hours in time for PE, and then it just sounded like there was a lot of work. I took econ online, and that was like a lot simpler of a process for me.
Yeah, I've also heard horror stories from econ, but that was from lazy people, so you know what you
Yeah.
got.
Well, yeah, you just have to keep up with your assignments. And I just remember taking that class in the summer, and you'd start out, you could see who had completed their
Yeah,
assignments, and you'd start out with like over 100, and then slowly would trickle down to like 30 by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Do you think schools should have PE in school for freshman and sophomore year? Do you think they should do it for junior year and senior year as well? Not at all.
I think I like how it is personally. I feel like 2 years is a good amount. I feel like for students who want to continue, you can, so it's an
Yeah.
option. But for students who want to take advantage of college classes, I feel like it would kind of be a hindrance in a way. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to take it all 4 years.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. I personally did an online PE, and I really regret not doing online econ. I took it freshman year, so it wasn't really an option, and Mrs. Charney certainly didn't help my feelings of if it was a worthy class or not. But you know what you get.
I also think, sorry, this is kind of off subject, but not really. I think that if you play a sport at school,
Ooh,
that should count for like your gym class.
I sense
I
a segue.
personally think so. I feel like that makes so much sense
Yeah.
because you do so much more physical activity than in gym class.
I'm a lot more invested in my sports.
Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like that would actually get people more effectively healthy and in shape than gym class, personally.
Yeah, well, I'll treat that as a brilliant segue and move into sports.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Exciting.
Yeah. So, what are your guys' experience with sports? I know you did field hockey. Do you have any other experiences with it?
So I played tennis during the spring and then field hockey during the fall with Melody.
Yeah.
And I've been playing tennis since I was in 7th grade, so I've been playing it for a good amount of time.
Yeah, I played field hockey all 4 years, and Jennifer started sophomore year, but she's still like amazing. So she
wow.
made up that lost time.
Thanks,
Um,
Melody.
and I also play lacrosse, and I've done that since my freshman year when it first came to Clover Hills. So yeah.
Okay. So, what do you guys find most attractive about field hockey? Maybe not the best phrasing, but the question still stands.
Yes. For me, coming in a little bit later than my peers, I definitely liked the community that I saw in field hockey, and there was a lot of like super nice people that I wanted to meet. And also, I've been doing an individual sport or playing doubles, so I had like one other person with me, and I really wanted to get that team sport atmosphere.
Yeah, I would say for me, I have always been pretty competitive and I always enjoy sports. So and I love team sports. I do not like individual sports that much. Just because you kind of balance each other out with your strengths and weaknesses and you're a lot more successful. And I think it's so much more fun with a team. I would say also for me, I started field hockey in my freshman year and conditioning starts like right once school gets out in the summer in June. And so, right after 8th grade, I was going to Clover Hill to do conditionings, and I was meeting, and I knew no one. Well, I kind of knew Olivia Dean. I already knew her because she went to my middle school. She didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. So I would just say I met some of my best friends on that team, and we promised Julianne we'd give her a shout out. So this is your shout out.
I've got to have her on too.
I got really close to Julianne. Logan, Sophie, Mackenzie, Jennifer, and just like so many other people, and even people in the grade below me that I probably would have never met otherwise. And it's just so much fun. It's such a great stress reliever to have every day. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And the thing you mentioned about team sports versus individual sports, I always go back and forth on it because like I like working alone personally, especially after an experience with a group project. But
yeah,
yeah, I do agree that like it balances out the skills, and ultimately if you lose, it's all on you, and that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, with tennis, I kind of enjoy having both an individual and a team sport because with tennis, I feel like I have a lot more pressure on me, and like when people come to watch me, they're only watching me.
Yeah.
So when I make a mistake, I'm like fully to blame for it. But I feel like I've learned different lessons from both sports. Definitely, yeah.
Is there any sport that you wish you did that you never got a chance to do?
Ooh, I'll say one sport I always think would be so much fun. My sister plays volleyball. She goes to Thomas Dale and she plays volleyball. And I've, especially watching her play, I'm like, oh my goodness, that looks like so much fun. I think I'd really enjoy it. I enjoy running and stuff. So field hockey and lacrosse, I'm a midfielder, so I feel like those positions suit me well. It's a lot more running, but I feel like volleyball would be cool because it's very different. It's a lot more confined
And more
and
communication.
yeah, it's very intense and like I feel like you have to be really smart when playing volleyball. Like I mean you have to be with any sport, but it's so much more fast paced. But that was unfortunately a fall sport also. If it was a winter sport, I actually probably would have tried it, but it wasn't. And I feel like I'm too late now. Everyone else is good at it, so and I'm not. So
Yeah.
For me, I would say it's soccer. I used to play it when I was little, and I didn't stick with it. And I watched my sister. My sister went. She was a travel soccer player, and I'd watch her play all the time when I was younger. And she got so good, and I feel like that just intimidated me. And it prevented my soccer career from taking off.
Yeah. I think I had the opposite problem actually. I was super into soccer as a kid too, and then it kind of fell off when I moved, and I went back to it sophomore year, and like I did rec for a couple years because I did not have any time in the day to do it during the school year.
yeah,
Gotcha.
understandable.
Yeah, but like every year I was just with a bunch of delinquents, and it kind of sucked. I'm talking to you, Nathan. Not Sal, not Sal. It's a different Nathan, the delinquent Nathan, the one that gets Fs.
Yeah, I don't know who that is too. I just now feel bad for him.
Be glad you don't.
It's okay, Nathan. We believe in you.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I also wish I kept with ice skating because I'm watching the Olympics now, and they're so good. And I was like, dang, Jennifer, that could have been you. Because I did it when I was really little, and I actually got pretty good. And then wow, apparently I just quit things as soon as I start getting good at them.
Oh. Yeah, the funny thing with me in sports was I'm a really athletic person, but I always like pull something whenever I'm doing sport, which is weird because I'm not like not flexible, but like I'll get like these weird injuries, like I'll pull my calf or something, or like I'll get like shin splints or.
I feel like I don't know if you've gotten an injury. I personally have never gotten like any injury ever, which I like knock on wood. But
me either. I don't think I ever have. And everyone in my family gets knee problems. Like both my mom and my sister had their ACLs, both of them.
Oh jeez.
Born. And I'm just hoping. Cross my fingers that
I'll
the same
protect
does
you.
not happen to me.
Yeah, you don't want those ACLs going out.
Those are that's like one of the worst recoveries.
Yeah, not a fun experience.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I haven't had really many injuries either. Just like that minor stuff, like lasts a week or something. Like you put,
gotcha.
like, strain your calf or like hamstring or something. You have to drive. Never try and drive when you like strain your quad. That is the worst feeling.
Oh no.
Hopefully I never experienced that.
Yeah, hopefully you're not related.
But the worst that I ever had was in 5th grade when my mom thought it was a good idea to have me try every sport, and it was going great. Did soccer in the fall, did basketball in the winter. Hated basketball because I never have been good about learning plays, and I did lacrosse in the spring.
Yes,
yeah. I love watching lacrosse, especially boys lacrosse.
Boys lacrosse is so intense. Girls lacrosse is not like that, but
yeah. So like clearly my frame is not built for lacrosse. So the first game of the season, like the first game of the season, a couple minutes in, I get checked and like I fall like flat on my back, and like the guy gets a yellow card or something, and I get a concussion.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Like 5 minutes into the season, I'm already done.
That's traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely scare me away from lacrosse.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty funny because the two sports I play now were the only sports like I had never played because I guess kind of similarly, I tried a lot of sports as a kid. I tried soccer and I thought it was too much running, which is so funny now. I was such a lazy kid. And then I tried basketball, and me and Madeline actually, we were the only girls on the team, and so the guys like hated us and did not want to pass it to us because we always missed.
Oh.
I definitely played a lot of sports. I remember I did rock climbing for a while,
Ooh,
which was
rock
kind of
climbing.
funny. And then what else did I do?
Yeah, I did dance. That was not good.
I did football for a bit.
Oh my!
I know.
Jennifer.
Football.
Hard to imagine.
Wow.
It was fun.
What position did you play?
I don't remember. I think it was like flag football.
Oh.
I'd be too scared to do tackle.
Yeah.
And I was in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I always really liked flag football and like the capture the flag and whatnot. And
I loved capture the flag. That'd be cool.
One other thing that's really fun is ultimate frisbee.
Oh,
Ultimate
yeah.
frisbee is really
I
fun.
love playing ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, you guys should join the Ultimate Frisbee Club. That's a lot of fun.
I was going to, but then I felt looked down upon.
I was never very good at it. I just liked the idea of it.
I feel like in college I'll try to join like a club or something.
I'm gonna join the Quidditch team.
Yes! Yes! Quidditch is amazing. Thank you. I was about to go right to Quidditch, actually.
Yeah.
Have you ever played it in person?
It's my favorite book.
Yes,
period.
I'm beginning to learn the ways.
I recruited her. I gave her my first 3 copies.
I'm
of the
on
series.
book number 3. It's actually like right next to me. And I think I read the first 2 over winter break.
She's a long journey.
And I really do. But we made a bet kind of amongst our friend group that I would finish all of them before graduation. And like half of them think I can do it and half of them can't.
You're kind of running out of time, and you're on like you've done the first 3, which are the shortest.
I'm
books.
on book 3. I'm like not even.
Once you get to 4 and 5, that's a little.
Oh, yeah.
Those are long books.
I'll just stay up all night the night
Yep.
before graduation.
Even better.
I'll look super tired.
Those are the best books ever.
Yeah, but what I meant was, have you played like the actual sport, like in real life?
I have not.
I have not. I would love to.
Yeah, it's an amazing sport. So like basically how it plays is obviously you're not riding around on broomsticks, but
Oh man.
well, like flying around. I mean, you still have a broomstick in between your legs, but
Yeah.
but essentially it plays the exact same way. And like there's hula hoops that you have to throw a ball through, and like you're passing around to the chasers and the whatever the guys are called that pass around the ball and
the snatcher. Is that what it's called? If not, I'm gonna feel
The
really
snitch?
embarrassed.
What? It's a snitch catcher. Wait.
Whatever Harry Potter is.
What is he?
Isn't he the? Is it called the snatcher?
I think it's called the
Let's
seeker.
move on. I'm showing how much I don't know about Harry Potter. I'm
Yeah.
making up terms.
Yeah, but my middle school had like a Quidditch club, and that was my favorite sport that I've ever played. It plays like lacrosse if you don't have a stick, plus dodgeball, plus tag, and like
Oh.
it's just an
I
amazing sport. And after this, you guys might want to look up like an actual game of it because it is so much fun, and I can't wait to do it in college.
I think I've seen one game of it in like a movie before.
Oh,
Harry
okay.
Potter.
No, not Harry, like a movie that's not like a fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Ryan, if you start a club at Cooper Hill, we'll join it and we'll
I
play.
think we're running out of time, but
That's true.
Yeah, I wanted to, but eventually I just got too many other clubs to do, and I was actually thinking about doing a badminton club in sophomore year, and I had a bunch.
I love badminton.
Badminton's really fun.
It's like tennis, except
easier.
Yeah, it's definitely easier.
Yeah, I was always so good at badminton, and like it's a really weird thing because of how fast it decelerates after you hit it. So like you have to be very accurate.
I know my sophomore gym class, we played a lot with Mr. Mooney, and he was so intense about it. It was so much fun because whenever you beat him, you felt great because he was like so mad at you. But I mean, most of the time he probably beat me, so it's fun.
Yeah. Hey, who did you think was the best at badminton?
Well, my class, so my gym class sophomore year, that's when we really played it. Freshman year, all we did was ultimate frisbee. But I had a class with mostly the only 2 math sci people in the class besides me were Valerie and Yash.
Oh,
So I
Yash.
mostly hung out with them
He can
and
be
Mr.
competitive.
Mooney, honestly. Sorry, what did you say?
I said Yash can be competitive.
Yes, he is. So, and he was good, and Mallory was too, and so was Mr. Mooney. And a few of the other kids in our class would participate, and some, I guess, weren't really feeling it. So that's okay.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, another interesting sport that I really liked in middle school, because apparently in my school we just did all the weird sports, was Hoover ball.
I've never heard of that. Neither have I.
Yeah, so it's named after the late president, Herbert Hoover, and basically the idea for him was he wanted to stay in shape, so during the Great Depression he devised a sport where you would, I'm trying to remember the exact rules, it's kind of like volleyball, except you can hold on to the ball, you don't have to hit it immediately, but actually, do you? I'm trying to remember now. No, I don't think you had to hit it immediately, and like it was supposed to be a 5 pound medicine ball that you were tossing around, and essentially it plays like volleyball in that sense. And then, except for the kids, you get to use a dodgeball, so that made it a lot easier. And I always just had a lot of fun with it, and I liked it better than volleyball for some reason.
That sounds fun. Where did you go to middle school?
Oh, it was a school up in Maryland. You guys wouldn't know it.
Oh, I didn't know that you lived in Maryland.
Yeah, I lived like you know where Leesburg is, right? In Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah, I lived like 5 minutes away from there, so like just across the river.
Okay. That's cool that you haven't lived in Virginia your whole life, because Melody and I have.
Yeah,
It's a bit old.
hmm yeah, I'm really thankful about it, honestly, especially with college coming up, because I went from like a obviously I went from a same elementary school that I'd gone through for my whole life up till like just before I was gonna come down here in like 8th grade to going to a new school, obviously, then going straight to a new high school that nobody knew me at, and I'm really thankful for that, and I really like the ability where I can just create a new person if I want to, and just say, okay, hey, what worked in the past couple of years? People liked this, people didn't like this, so I think I'll change a couple things here, and I can be a happier person because of it. And like now I'm definitely looking to do that. Like I'm probably one of the very few people that's like, oh, I don't want to go to Virginia Tech or UVA, just because I just
That
because
does seem like
No, I completely understand that though. I feel like the good thing though is those schools are so big that you still have the ability, I feel like, to formulate who you are in college, despite that. But I definitely understand what you're saying.
For me, it was the same going into high school. I didn't really know anyone. I had a lot of people coming from my middle school, but I wasn't in CBG.
oh,
So when
okay.
I came, I didn't have any friends. But apparently, freshman me was pretty confident, and I didn't care that I didn't know anyone. And I made some of my best friendships. And I'm really glad that I kind of left behind the people I knew in middle school. I felt like I learned a lot of lessons that way.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Even though I've always been fortunate, I had really great friends in middle school, but I've made really great friends in high school too. And it's funny because in middle school, like I was devastated. It's like, how am I ever gonna make like better friends? But then like I have, and it's so great. And um, I know with college it's the same where it's like it's healthy to grow and you can still stay connected to old people too. So hopefully be Jepper,
Yeah.
stay tight. But
I feel like a lot of the times people now are starting to realize that there aren't like a ton of people you're planning on keeping in touch with in
Yeah.
college.
Definitely.
You kind of like reassess your relationships, I'd say.
yes, definitely.
You know, like there's could be like 2 or 3 people that you actually keep in touch with past like a couple weeks and maybe visiting college. I still don't get how that works, like how people are always like traveling to other colleges, but
Yeah, I'd say definitely it also helps you value those people more and realize like
Yeah.
invest your time in the people, like
That you
invest your
plan on-
time in the fewer
That you plan on
people that
keeping
you're
through your life.
closer to, yeah, than just
For me, like
everyone else.
I've definitely like tried to reassess my relationship senior year. I'd say like I'm trying to focus more on the people who I know I will want to keep around, who help grow me as a person.
yeah, just not wasting your time with people that you're just letting cling on. You're
Yeah.
not really crazy about.
I definitely try to not waste my time.
Yeah. So, do you Do you really think of yourself as like part of a friend group or like just moving all around all the time?
For me, I personally try to be open to be friends with anyone, and I've definitely made more of an effort recently to not keep myself within my friend group. I'm trying to like diversify who I interact with. I want to get different perspectives, and I'm honestly open to being friends with anyone, no matter the circumstance, as long as they're nice, to be honest.
I feel like for me personally, definitely coming in freshman year, it's harder. Like you're more closed off. I think everyone is
Oh yeah.
initially just because you don't know anyone. So if you know someone, you like cling to them, or
Yeah.
just like in general, you're kind of scared to step out to people who seem different than you, or people you fear won't accept you. But I'd say for me, just like throughout the years, I think hopefully one thing I'm good at is talking to a wide variety of people and being personable amongst different people that aren't like me. And I think it's important whether they become like your closest friend or not to still be open to people. And plus, there are a lot of people who don't have friends that need friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's really important to be open to those people and not just so caught up in your friend group that you forget about those who are alone and who need someone to reach out to them who aren't confident enough to reach out to you.
Oh yeah, and
Agreed.
those people will be the best friends for you because they're so appreciative.
And they're
Yeah.
loyal, yes.
And some of the best friendships I've made in high school or just in general are ones that like are really surprising. I would say I feel like freshman year, probably Jennifer and I would both say we never necessarily thought we'd become like really close, I guess.
I feel like our personalities were definitely more different then. And still even now we have a lot of differences between Melody and I,
Yeah.
but our like core personalities are similar enough that our different opinions on a lot of things usually.
Yeah, and when you have friends who are different than you, it just makes you appreciate different perspectives and like not confine yourselves to your own perspective.
I've definitely made friends with people that had very different perspectives than me. A lot of my friends are quite religious compared to me, and I've actually learned so much and like have such a greater respect for religion just based off of who I've been friends with in high school.
Yeah. And coming into high school, like that was a big thing for me. Like, obviously not knowing anybody, you immediately latch onto whoever you can get, and that was certainly what I did freshman year. And I'm really appreciative of myself that I decided to change that because like I didn't like the group I was stuck in. Like the people around it really didn't like me. So like I'm just glad that I had the confidence to say, okay, forget this. I would rather just be in a situation where I'm floating around, being friends with everybody, not giving anyone a reason not to like. Well, if not that, then just it's your decision if you want to spend time with me. And
Yeah. I definitely think that you shouldn't try and force friendships on people. I try and just like be friendly to everyone around me, but I'm not gonna like put myself out there too much if I don't feel like they would reciprocate
oh
it.
yeah,
I think like being a senior, you kind of get to this point where you
you
realize
just don't care.
there's no point in trying to like grab at these friendships. You should focus on the people who make you feel happy and who add to your life. I definitely think.
Yeah, definitely. And on your point about having friends that see things differently than you, one of the hardest things is to be friends with someone who is exactly the same as you. Because like there's just never anything to talk about.
That's true. I mean,
I like having the differences.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely true. Where it's like you notice something that like annoys you about someone, and you're like, "What is it?" And it's like, "Oh wait, it's because they're like me."
It's the thing that bothers you about yourself.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like it's definitely good to diversify your friend group. And one thing I wanted to add to what you're saying before about like um, kind of reaching out to different people, I guess what we were talking about is I feel like it's important whether you don't always have to have the most friends or be like best friends with everyone, but I think I know one thing that's always been my goal is just to be respected by everyone and like have everyone, whether they're really close or not, think like I know she, is think highly of you and respect you for that.
I think a lot of people I know around me, they'll have like like slight friendships with a lot of people. They'll have a lot of acquaintances, but they won't have close friends just because they don't really focus on people. They kind of just want to be friends with everyone. And I've always valued my close friendships more. I have acquaintances, but I prioritize my close friendships, definitely.
Yeah, and that's something I've definitely struggled with because, like, whenever I seem to get close with somebody after like 6 months, a year, heck, even a year and a half, I can think with some people I just push them away because I don't like it anymore. But yeah, it definitely gets to you not having any close friends, and it's important to have like one or two people that you can really trust for that.
I feel like since we're all like growing as people right now, you grow out of friendships pretty easily.
Good
And
point.
there's only been a few friendships that I felt like have grown with me, I suppose.
Yeah.
Best way to put it.
So something topical that's going around in the world right now is obviously the Winter Olympics. So have you guys been paying attention to that?
Yes. We watched together
Yeah.
the other day.
We did. I actually haven't watched as much as I wanted to, but I have watched some, mostly.
Yeah. I've watched ice skating and then some snowboarding. I'm really into snowboarding. To be
Yes,
honest.
we love red.
Red
Go,
Gerard.
go red, white, and blue. That's what I like to say.
Red Gerard, he's 17.
He's-
Big fan.
He got the first gold medal for the U.S. in the Olympics, and he's 17, which really makes us question like what we're doing with our lives.
Yeah.
But we're still really proud of him.
Yeah, definitely. Is snowboarding your guys' favorite sport?
For me, it's my favorite. It's just because I snowboard, so
Oh.
that's like the main appeal for me. And then I like ice skating because I used to ice skate.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I'm more of a summer Olympics type of person. I like the sports more in the summer, but I definitely still love the Winter Olympics. But I'm not good at winter sports, so it's not really like, oh, I relate to that person. But snowboarding's really fun to watch. I mean, ice skating's just like beautiful. Also, cross country skiing.
Oh, and
The
luge.
luge.
The luge.
Gabby Jennings.
I love the luge.
luge.
It's great. It's like super dangerous too.
Yeah.
Gotta love the luge.
Oh yeah, that and the skeleton.
Oh, and skeleton. Yeah, the
Yeah.
backwards.
So, what's your favorite, Ryan?
That's a tough question. Let's see. What is my favorite? And we can't have a Winter Olympic Quidditch.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Probably curling.
Curling is hard too. I feel like it's underappreciated.
I haven't really watched it yet this year, but yeah, I still enjoy it.
Yeah. My problem with watching sports is I feel like I have to watch every single game that ever happens, and like that becomes a real problem during the Olympics because I don't just limit it to the Olympics. I'm like, no, I got to watch the World Championships, and I got to go back to like regional play, and I kill myself with that. But so I'm trying to avoid the Olympics for as long as I can before I get really engrossed in that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love watching it. I watch it more than like the summer Olympics, like personally.
Yeah, there's always stuff going on in the summer.
I'm usually I'm like too busy.
I'd say for me, I get to watch more in the summer, I think, because during the school year, I'm just way too invested, I guess, in the school. I don't know what it is, but so I don't know. I feel like this summer I watch more in the summer. So
yeah. What do you guys usually do over the summer?
I worked a lot last summer, I would say, and then I traveled. I travel usually every summer. Last summer I went to Italy, which was really nice, and that's probably my favorite part of the summer. And field hockey. We did field hockey every summer.
Yeah, I'd say mine's kind of similar. I definitely work a lot in the summer. Last summer I worked at Chick-fil-A, which was great. But I recently got a new job at Brewster's in Chester, so everyone come out. But yeah, so I work a lot in the summer, and then field hockey that starts in August, and then it's every day for like 3 hours.
And you have conditioning starting in June.
Yeah, so that, and then also I normally go on a mission trip with my church every summer. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's pretty busy. Usually what I do is I'm usually I shouldn't say pretty free. I always have like one big project going on, that being online health and PE freshman and sophomore year, and then didn't really do anything junior year for some reason. But this past year, I was doing part of a research fellowship at VCU, so that was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
I pretty much did 40-hour work weeks on that, so that was ridiculous.
Oh
But
my goodness.
yeah,
That's
you know how
cool.
that is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys like about working?
Personally, I did not like my last job. The only part about it that I liked was just talking to different people. I worked at Noodles and Company, and my favorite part was I didn't really enjoy working with the other people at my job. I just enjoyed talking to the people that came, the customers, and I would try and like spark conversations with them, usually to avoid doing work, but I just liked talking to them.
Yeah, I'd say for me at Chick-fil-A, because I've only worked at Brewster's since the beginning of January. I quit my job I think January 2nd. So starting the new year off, I don't want to say right because that sounds really hard, but with change I guess. So with Chick-fil-A, I'd say it was so incredibly packed. I'm sure you know, like Chick-fil-A, I don't know why every single family in Chester decides to go there at the exact same time, literally all day, every day, but they do. I mean, except Sundays, so
Yeah.
thank God for that, amen. But, yeah, but the managers, the people working at Chick-fil-A are super nice, and so are the managers. They're like so great. The customers are all really nice and understanding, and they all have a lot of kids running around, and they're so cute. And I personally, my favorite thing to do, because I did a variety of different things, my favorite thing was to work in drive-through, actually. I thought that was a lot of fun. Plus, there's like, it sounds so mean, but like a wall between you and the people.
Yeah.
Just because Chick-fil-A is so crowded, it's a little bit of it can be overwhelming at times. And also making ice cream cones and perfecting that art was probably my greatest achievement.
I hope you put that on the college applications too.
Yes, definitely. Oh, this is funny, actually. This is off subject, so I'm sorry. But
Hey, don't worry about it.
with the college applications, this just made me think of it. I remember someone was telling me, oh, colleges and jobs like it when you have some really random, obscure fact about yourself on applications. And I was like, huh, okay, I need to come up with something before I have to like apply for college. And this was me as a sophomore. So in 10th grade health with Mr. Mooney, when we weren't doing anything, I would practice spelling supercalifragilisticexpialidocious over and over so that I would know how to spell it, so I could write like on a resume that I knew how to spell it.
Oh my gosh.
That's so weird.
I'm glad you didn't actually put that on your phone.
I did not. I refrained from doing so.
Well, that's unique, to say the least.
Yeah, it's special, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm guessing you both prefer learning in school over working, right?
Yeah, I definitely prefer learning in school. I like being around my peers, and I like my teachers particularly.
Yeah, I would say for me, I've always really enjoyed school. I've always liked going to school and learning and being with my teachers and friends and everything. So school never seemed that um,
Much of a burden.
yeah, much of a burden to me. And I'd say with work, I enjoy work. I think I'm gonna like it a lot more when I'm not at like a minimum wage job and I'm doing something I'm
Yeah.
more passionate about. But scooping ice cream's fun too. I'm an ice cream scooper. That's literally my job title. So
I feel like if I found the right job, I could really enjoy it. I'm gonna try and do retail next summer, see how that goes. I'm just trying to try my different options because I've done a couple different jobs, but I want to explore more.
Yeah, it's so important to do that now that you actually have the chance and you don't have to go paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
But
yes.
like I had a similar problem where I've never really been a fan of working personally, and like a big part of the past couple of years was trying to figure out what I actually wanted to be looking into, and something that I've really enjoyed doing has been soccer refereeing, actually.
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
I feel like that would be fun.
I know our friend Logan does soccer.
Yeah, yes, I've actually refereed with her before.
Oh, cool. That's cool. I wish I could find a passion like that. I still have yet to find one. We're working on it.
Yeah, she's one. I like to joke with my friends. She's one of the few people that have seen me out of the black shirt. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys remember actually, but I always tell Yash this and he never remembers it. But I never wore this kind of stuff in freshman year. I always wore like athletic wear and like some stupid
I
pants.
feel like maybe I remember that. I don't know. Freshman year, in some ways, it's like, oh, it was just yesterday. And then other days, I'm like,
Feels
wow,
so far away.
that
I honestly feel
so
like
long ago.
a completely different person. But why did you change your style? What triggered it?
So this has been like a big movement over the past couple of years, but I've really been trying to like grow into myself and like a big thing was like we all have role models and like one of the people I consider my role model is CGP Grey, a podcaster of Hello Internet, and like one of the big things that he preaches is like hopefully preaches doesn't come off too strong, but like it's just being aware of like what you want out of situations and like what like your goals are and like just being aware of them at all times. And a big thing for me is like I know a lot of people joke about, oh, I'm so OCD about things, but I'm 90% sure I actually have undiagnosed OCD. So like making decisions is a real problem for me. Like I will take like 20 minutes to make a decision because like it'll just kill me to try and choose one thing over another. So any chance I have to limit the decisions in my life, I try and take it as much as I can. So I just wear the same thing every day.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I think style is like a good distraction from me, like away from school, and I kind of invest a lot in my style, I'd say.
Yeah,
I've been developing it over the years.
Yeah, I kind of revel in it. It's, at this point, like it's just a fun thing. Like, oh, look at me, I'm being weird, but it's just kind of fun to surprise people.
Yeah, but I feel like in all seriousness, though, if you did like, I feel like that definitely makes sense because some people like with OCD, if there's any way to like minimize the number of decisions you have to make, it just it makes it simpler. So I don't blame you. I think, hey, if that's
Why
you,
not?
go for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I just remember in middle school, like looking at the dresser, being like, God, what am I gonna wear today? And just it taking 15 minutes every day, and it was terrible. So I'm so much happier with it right now. Frankly, I think it looks good.
Makes you happy. That makes you happy? Keep doing it.
Yeah, right on. So let's see, what's an interesting question I can ask? So what do you think are what's the best joke you've ever heard?
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh no.
Actually,
Melody is very
I have the weirdest sense of humor. I mean, I feel like hopefully some people appreciate it. Most probably don't.
I usually do.
Also, I laugh at like most things that I say or other people say, or like when I need a filler in conversations, I just like so many people have pointed out to me that I awkwardly laugh, but it's fine.
Well, that's what humor
But
is.
I
It's just
actually have a book. Yeah, I'm holding it up right now, and I'm just now realizing that you can't see it.
Oh.
But it's a book called Have a Little Pun. It's at Target. I'm pretty sure it's $15, so it's a solid investment into your mental happiness. But it basically has pictures and like different puns. So like, let's see if there's some.
Oh, it has like picture. Okay.
There's a cat on a tree and it says it's meow or never.
See, this is not my personal comedic taste.
There's a horse and it says hey there. There are dogs and it says rough day. And it's like so things like that are just kind of I don't know. But I feel like my favorite jokes are when they're puns that are just like really clever and people just kind of come up with them and they're kind of obscure.
I feel like you like develop jokes. I'm more of like I'll laugh at things that are not meant to be a joke a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That can be pretty awkward.
Yeah.
That's true. I laugh at bad moments. Like,
So
Yeah.
and
do
so
I.
does Jennifer. We
I
both
Me
do
too.
it, and
I
we're
make-
worse together.
I make Melody laugh at the most like insignificant things. Usually because I'm trying to distract her in class, I'd say.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
But
that kind of
those are my
student.
favorite moments.
Yeah, I can go along with all the puns. I really enjoy those. And going off of like the impulsiveness versus like actually setting up jokes, I have a bad habit of trying to like set up bits on people and like, ooh, I wrote out this thing. Let's see how this goes. And because I do think I want to try stand up comedy at some point.
Oh my gosh.
I'd probably
You should.
suck
I
at
would
it.
go see this.
Because like
A
just the
comedy
kind of stuff that
podcast.
were you guys at the debate at for AP Gov?
The debate?
No, we were in Mr. Clark's class.
I heard about it though.
Yeah, because I literally just wrote out some jokes to use on people, and I was so mad because I missed a fantastic opportunity to transition ISD to like the plight of STDs in Africa and how much we need to help. It would have been amazing, and I just missed it.
Oh my god.
I missed it by half a second, and then Mr. Adams started talking. I'm like, dang it, I just missed it.
Oh no. Golly.
I
Yeah,
feel like I never like plan anything.
Yeah.
I can be kind of funny sometimes. It depends on the mood.
Jennifer is more funny when she doesn't mean to be.
Hmm.
Some
Yeah.
people are like that, where they like are like more intentional. I feel like for me, I don't really plan puns because I feel like the best puns are when you come up with them on the spot and everyone's like, "Whoa, genius!" I mean, probably no one else thinks that. Also, I think teachers who are incredibly monotone and sassy, they are like the funniest thing to me.
That's
Like
Dr. Lloyd, yeah.
Mr. D, like
I
these
love
teachers, they like if I
They
could-
don't mean to be funny.
Yeah.
It's just like the way they are.
yeah, so I love it when people don't mean to be funny, but like they just are.
Mhm.
So
I agree.
Yeah, I just remember Dr. Lloyd always making those snide comments in class about like students that weren't paying attention, and then nobody would
I
hear
know.
them because
Those
like
are so funny.
I
I love that.
almost cried in that class. Actually, okay, time to get vulnerable with Melody. So, so in Dr. Lloyd's class, because I'm like, I try to suck up to teachers. I'll admit it.
She
I
does.
love
Yeah.
teachers,
What are you
and I
gonna
want
do?
them to love me. But so with Dr. Lloyd, it was like a question about something chemistry, obviously. So I raised my hand and I answered the question, and he was just like, "That was so wrong."
Oh.
And he just kept saying it. He's like, "That answer could not have been more wrong." And then he'd stop and like look like he's about to move on. He's like, "I just can't get over how wrong that was." And I was literally about to start crying. I felt so
And
bad.
no one participated in that
Yeah.
class, and I felt bad for you. I was like, there. I wouldn't have said anything anyway.
Not my finest moment, but it's okay.
Yeah, speaking of not our finest moments, I had him first period, so that made it a lot more difficult to stay awake in class. And I just remember like at one time when like he decided to show a movie, because that's definitely what you should do for a monotone teacher in the first period class when everyone's tired is turn the lights off. So,
As soon as they turn the lights off, I feel like that's their like quiet way of telling me that I can fall asleep. And I try really hard to stay awake, but
but yeah,
I
it just
tried
happens.
on.
Yeah, and like it's terrible.
Yeah, do you remember the movie he showed with the guy who kind of looked like Einstein?
I remember
Oh my
that
god.
graphically.
That was. So
I was
funny, and
I was the only person who had actually watched that guy's videos beforehand. I'm like, oh, it's Mr. Polyakov, and he's like, how on earth do you know this guy?
And I distinctly remember this woman with like a ball of copper, and she was like,
She was so impressed by it.
no, it was like her
She
husband
bought it.
gave it to her like
Oh,
as their
oh my
anniversary present, and I geeked out. That was like so funny to me. That class was so funny, and I was trying my hardest not to laugh because Dr. Lloyd was just sitting in the corner and just like staring at our table because Jennifer was dying,
This
and
happens
he
a
just
lot.
looked at me like, "Stop! I hate you." And I was like, "No." So I tried really hard, but you know,
I like do not even try to pretend
yeah.
that I'm not laughing extremely hard. Like in bio, this has happened so many times. I just start laughing about random things.
Yeah.
Then I get Melody to start.
Yeah. Now I'll have like such a hard time knowing when to stop laughing. Because like that at the moment will have like completely passed and I'll still be laughing about it, and
Yeah,
like, you try and control yourself, and then like 5 seconds later you just start laughing again.
Yes, I do the
Yeah.
exact same thing. And then I start crying. I'm
Oof.
like a cry laugher sometimes. Those are the best.
Yeah. Let's see. What math are you taking this year?
We're both in AP, AB.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you haven't seen Mr. Zimmerman yet?
No, the
I
substitute.
have in Cab Morning though. He was there when I was in Miss Myers' room, and Miss Myers, and he was there this morning too, and I was in there, and Miss Myers was talking to him about like figuring out how to do grading on like the laptop and stuff, and
I heard he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's been pretty good so far. So I guess he hasn't talked to you guys about being in the Dark Knight yet, has he?
Oh, I heard about this.
he was kind of talking about it. Well, I've heard people talking about it, and then I could definitely see.
He's been an extra in a bunch of things.
Yeah, his saw like that part of his personality when I was there in California.
That's so cool. Apparently, he said it's like not even that hard to be an extra in a movie.
Yeah, you just gotta work for cheap.
I'd do it.
Yeah. So segueing that, how do you guys reconcile knowing actors when you watch the movie? Like you know it, like oh this is Brad Pitt or something. Like how do you prevent your mind from noticing that and like saying no, it's a random movie character?
Oh, that's.
I would say for me, I mean, some actors are more easily recognizable, but also I don't really keep up with people who are famous like at all. So a lot of times I'm totally unaware.
I feel like if they're doing their job well, then
yeah,
they
definitely.
can better convince you
Mm-hmm.
to view them as a different character. I feel like a lot of times actors will get aligned with certain movies, like Daniel Radcliffe with Harry Potter, and it's just hard for them to move on to a different series because they're known so well for
Yeah.
whatever they dedicated a ton of time to that became popular. I try to separate them from their movies and give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a weird thing for me because literally I've watched like 15 movies in my entire life, and despite being a massive Star Wars fan, I still haven't seen The Force Awakens. Still haven't seen Rogue One. Still haven't seen The Last Jedi.
What?
I need to get on that.
Catching up to do.
Ryan,
I need to send you like a movie list.
Yeah, and it's weird too because like I'm the biggest Star Wars fan, and well maybe Noah Smith is bigger, but like we're right there.
Not convincing.
I don't know. Does a 200-page review on the Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV series convince you?
Holy cannoli! Okay.
Trust me, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think I. Yeah, I like watching Star Wars, but I feel like it'd be insulting to people if I said that as a fan because so many people are so much more dedicated and know so much more about than I do. So, but I enjoy them.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a fan of something is a weird thing.
I feel like a lot of times nowadays people will give you like a hard time if you're not a true enough fan of something, like especially with like music genres. And I just think that you should let people enjoy what they enjoy and not try and test them to see if they're a true fan. People, yeah, you got to be new to something at some point.
That's true.
Yeah, and like that comes up a lot with bandwagoning and with sports. That doesn't seem to be a concern with a lot of people in math science. Like you just don't really care, to be honest. And a lot of them either just don't care about sports or whatnot. And like I always joke with them that like I'm the only incredibly nerdy kid who also really cares about sports and is also semi decent at playing them. And like
I feel like there's a decent amount of people that I know.
I feel like in general, even if it's not sports, a lot of math sci kids are incredibly involved in different areas. So I mean, I'd say we're pretty well versed bunch of individuals.
Yeah, and like it's a weird thing that like we're all so well rounded. Like I remember freshman year, like having like 50% of the entire freshman class being either playing soccer or like just all being involved in like something that you wouldn't expect, and it's very weird that that has happened.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too because
it adds to people's personality.
Exactly, instead of just having like one dimension of academics, you know.
I feel like most of the people I've met in math have been multi.
Yeah, everyone's so talented at so many different things. It's amazing.
Yeah. What do you guys think about steroids in sports? Because it's a weird thing.
I know that Russia got in trouble for doping,
Oh yeah.
and then their whole team got taken out. But in sports particularly, I just think that it takes away, and I don't think you can properly assess yourself if you're on standards.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best idea. But so definitely not a supporter. Yeah, I feel like if you're a true athlete and like
You want to perfect your craft. You shouldn't be focused on
especially if
cheating the
that's your
system.
job. I mean, like you have enough time to work on it, I feel like. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you think nootropics should be classified as steroids?
I'm not familiar.
Yes, I do not know what that is.
Oh, okay. So nootropics are basically brain enhancing medicine where like you can take them and like it'll enhance your brain function by like a certain amount. I'm not talking about some like limitless crap where like you can be a stupid
Yeah.
person and like your IQ will go up by 150 points, but
Is it
something
kind
where
of like Adderall?
I've heard of high school students using it for like studying, which is not a good studying technique. Everyone out there
Also-
listening, do not do that.
yeah, Topical does not condone the use of Adderall.
Yes, you told them right.
Like Adderall, it's like a harmful drug, and it can really hurt and damage people's lives.
Yeah.
Ouchie. Yeah, Adderall's not a good one. I was mainly talking about ones that don't really have side effects. They all just go off brand names, so I'm not going to name any of them. But you know, like stuff that like enhances it like 20%, or it's like the equivalent of like not taking coffee because coffee is the worst addiction ever. But you know, other things. So I think I'm going to segue there. Actually, do you guys drink coffee?
I do not usually. Every once in a while, I will. I sometimes drink caffeinated tea. I like tea.
I hate coffee. Honestly, I hate every other drink except like water. Sometimes I'll have orange juice, sometimes milk. In the winter, hot chocolate. And I'm a smoothie addict, so that's like my weakness.
She's a
but
smoothie every single morning.
yeah.
What kind of smoothie do you usually have?
Oh, she's gonna give you the
Okay.
whole description.
Step 1, take out blender. Okay, so I put it's a strawberry banana smoothie. So you put in like 2 brown bananas, and then like I use frozen strawberries instead of like strawberries and ice. So I do like 10 of those normally, and then I do Greek yogurt, and then I do orange juice, and then I blend it and wake everyone up in my house. So, yep.
Okay.
Drink it in the car.
Yeah, I drink it on my way to school, which also is not a good idea. So don't. I was about to say don't drink and drive.
No, don't smoothie while driving.
Not either, but this is completely different.
Yeah, let's not drink and drive.
Not a good idea.
Yeah. So why brown bananas? Does it make it sweeter?
Yeah, so brown bananas, they add a lot more flavor. Plus, it's nice because brown bananas don't really have many other uses. Like, normally you don't just want to, like, eat a plain one, but it adds a lot more, the flavor's a lot more concentrated when you use brown bananas, so definitely use brown bananas. Oh, another smoothie tip, if anyone cares, you can add, like, spinach or I've never tried kale, but I think you can do kale as well, and you can add like a handful of it into your smoothie, and it will make your smoothie like look not as nice because it's kind of greenish then. But
You can't even taste it.
yeah, you can't taste it. So like if you're someone who doesn't like spinach or something, but you still want those the health benefits, that is a great option.
Yeah, definitely. Crap, I had something and I completely lost it. Do you think that most people should be drinking coffee?
I would say, I mean, it's easier for me to say no because I don't drink it, but I mean, I think no. Jennifer could probably speak more to it.
From my perspective, I feel like a lot of people just have too much reliance on it. And I feel like every once in a while it's okay, but I know like with my parents, they're relying on it every morning. And I just try to avoid reliance on
Yeah, I definitely say if you haven't drinking like coffee before and you're like, then just don't start.
Yeah.
Then just don't. And because there's really no benefit to it except it'll cost you a lot of money. And I mean, I know it gives you energy, but I've also heard that if you drink like a cold glass of water in the morning, it gives you more energy faster than a cup of coffee will. So, pro tip.
You know, I've actually heard similar things, and I always try to tell people that drink coffee that like it's an addiction. So what that means is your brain will lower your receptors to the point that you were at before you drank the coffee.
Mhm.
So like what you're getting is like a pseudo high where like you're not actually benefiting at all. You're just going back to what you were used to.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that
True.
also people will have it in excess,
Yeah.
or they'll add too much like cream and sugar.
We're talking to you, Mr. Henry.
Oh no. I
Remember,
don't think Mr. Edward isn't too bad. I know Miss Haley likes coffee, but she's so like energized and happy that I feel like, hey, if it works for her, let her do what she wants.
She's doing great.
Yeah.
yeah. For me, water's the only thing that I drink. For what was it, like a year and a half ago, I used to drink orange juice every morning, and then I realized that there was an absurd amount of sugar in that, so I got rid of that. That was kind of stupid, but I haven't drank milk in I think 8 years, and I think milk is one of the worst things that we have people drinking. Because like
Wow.
there's a lot of problems with milk. It
I
has
think with growing, like when you're growing though, it has beneficial.
Yeah.
well, sure, but
qualities.
it doesn't have a crazy amount of calcium, and if you look at the American diet, there's a comparable amount in the amount of meat we get, and you don't need to be getting 400% of the recommended daily allowance of calcium a day. You need 100%. So like
Yeah, I feel like with any health thing, the principle I live by is everything in moderation.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
a great
So
principle.
I feel like with me, I only have milk if I have cereal, which is kind of rare. I know Jennifer loves cereal, but she also thinks she might be lactose intolerant.
I'm
so.
pretty sure I am.
But and also I will have it like with chocolate chip cookies or something. Like I feel like that's kind of necessary. So I think it's okay.
It's necessary. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the exact opposite. My philosophy is all extreme all the time. So that creates problems where like you don't drink milk for 8 years, or like you don't snack any at all for like 6 months. And like just recently, I actually used that philosophy to fix what because like I used to, and when I say used to, I mean 2 weeks ago, have a lot of problems with getting in the shower. Like when I get up in the morning, like you'll spend like 30 minutes in bed or something, just reading or something. And like now I've gotten myself to a philosophy where when I get up, I'm gonna use my hysteric strength, give like a mighty roar, and go run into the bathroom, and then hopefully not slip on the wet floor, and then get in the shower, get out in 5 minutes, you're done. And that's been working great so far, and haven't had any accidents yet, so that's been nice.
I definitely shower at night.
Me, yeah.
Really,
So,
yeah, I know my brother does that. Why do you guys shower at night?
Well, I do my hair. I think that's the main
for
reason.
me, I just like feeling clean before I go to bed. I don't know if that sounds weird. Also, since we do have more hair than the male population,
Yes.
Sleeping
in
on
general.
wet hair, it always is like a mess when you wake
No,
up.
I do sleep
No.
on wet hair.
I don't.
I don't normally use heat on my hair like at all because I just prefer to sleep more if possible. So that's normally what I do. And I sleep on my hair wet. So I just let it dry like during the night, and I feel like it's less. This might sound so weird to all the males out there, but it's less crazy than if I like shower in the morning, I let dry during the day.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe because I'm laying on it. I have no idea.
Well, I think you can just tell if it's wet.
What?
I think you can just tell if it's wet, like for people looking at it, because like it's always really funny when I go into a teacher's classrooms in calf morning. Like you can tell which are the teachers that shower in the morning because like their hair's still wet.
That's funny. I don't notice these things.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I know. Do you blow dry your hair?
Sometimes.
Yeah, if I do that, my hair will be insane. So it's just, which I'm fine with because it takes less time on my part, so it works.
How long do you guys usually shower for? Because like for me, I had a really bad problem with showering for like 25 minutes, and it'd be ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like I think I finally got it down to 5.
I shower 20 minutes. I usually like end up staring at the wall for
Yeah.
like a solid 10 minutes.
Yeah, I like playing music a lot of time in the shower, so I'll
I do
just
that.
kind of, and like especially in the winter, I take really long showers, and I like taking baths, and
That's
so like
so
hot baths.
weird.
So many people are like, "That's disgusting. You're like sitting in your own filth," which I understand.
Yeah, there's
that
no middle ground there.
I don't know. I mean,
It's very relaxing.
honestly, the time I do it the most is the winter because I'm like always cold. But I can take if I'm like invested in a show and my family's watching it and I need to take a shower during a commercial break, I can do it within one commercial break. So that's
I don't think I'm that skilled. That's
so
impressive.
I can be fast when I want to be, but most of the time I don't want to be.
The time that I shower is like my time of the day. I just like stare at the wall, think about the whole day. I use a lot of hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I can't let myself think, or I'm just gonna be in there for like 15 minutes with my hand in my what little hair I have, and then it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I'd say also for me, I have a bigger family. I have 6 people in my family.
Hey, me
so,
too.
Yeah, so oh cool. You said you too?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you said, oh, cool.
No.
But yeah, so I try not to make it too long because I need to be thoughtful to my other family members and make sure that I don't take like all the hot water that is in existence in the house. But
So basically now I'm like an only child because my sister's off at college. So I use all the hot water I use.
yeah.
Oh, okay. When do you guys usually get up?
I get up really early. I like getting up at 5. I kind of like I make really fancy breakfast, like with eggs and toast and fruit.
Very
And
fancy.
yeah, I know. And that's like my time of the day, and I like to have a good buffer zone before I have to eventually depart to school.
I'd say mine is very different. So I wake up, I set my alarm for 6. Oh, and Jennifer normally doesn't go to Cab Morning, and I do.
I
So I
never
feel like
do.
Oh,
that
okay. So you have a ton of
added
time.
perspective to this. So so I set my alarm for 6, and normally I won't get out of bed until 6:15. And
That's better than a lot of people.
yeah,
pretty good.
so then I get out of bed and then I like play music. I play music like
I play
all in the
music.
morning, and so I try to be like out of my room like dressed and everything at like 6:30, like have all my stuff together, and then I like go to the bathroom and like brush my teeth and face and all that hygiene
Yep,
stuff.
brushing the face.
And then I go downstairs and around like 6:40 I'd say, and my mom is the best, and every morning I walk down and she has a smoothie ready for me and my lunch, so I just
Yeah.
grab it and I leave and I go to
This
school.
definitely does not happen in my household. I'm pretty sure my mom has never woken up before me on a school day. She's like just waking up by the time I'm leaving, and I make my own lunch and my
Yeah, it's
own
me too.
breakfast.
Yeah, I used to, and then junior year happened, and then my mom felt bad for me, I
Aw.
guess, and then she just started doing it and hasn't
That's sweet.
stopped. So it's nice because it lets me sleep an extra like 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, it probably makes her feel like she has something that she can do for you. Because, like you're getting ready to go off to college. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah, she's really great. And my other siblings will be up and getting ready for school too. And my younger brother, he's in elementary school, so he doesn't start school till a lot later. But he's very much so an early riser, so he's always up when I'm up and before everyone is up. And so, yeah, everyone's up except my dad. He's always asleep.
I'm definitely an early riser, but I also go to bed really late.
Yeah, that's me
I just
too.
like being awake.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo with that. Like anatomically, I can tell that like I'm an early riser because like my body will just wake itself up early. Sometimes I use an alarm clock, and other times I'm a jerk to my alarm clock. But yeah, like I just hate being asleep. Not because like I don't like sleep, but just because I feel like I'm wasting my time.
See, like with me, the only reason I stay up so late is because I'm doing homework that I procrastinated on. But I love napping. I'll go home from school if I don't have a sport after school. I'll go home and I'll nap for like 4 hours. It's really not healthy.
Yeah, this is also the difference in me and Jennifer because with our sleep schedule. Because I never take naps ever. Like,
I love them.
I don't know, I just don't. So I
Yeah,
just
me
will
neither.
get home at like after sports or whatever, and I'll do all my homework, and then I go to bed once it's all done.
See, she has a healthy
And then
lifestyle.
I wake up in the morning. Jennifer will like fall asleep and then wake up and do homework, then fall asleep and then wake up and finish and then go back to
That's
sleep.
honestly what I do. You have a healthy lifestyle. I'm just unwilling to change.
No, I think the problem is Jennifer has you have a teenage lifestyle, is the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not sure when it'll change, if it'll change.
Yeah, well, we'll see. How much sleep do you usually get, Melody?
So last year I went to bed. My goal is to go to bed at 11 every night, just because we had so much homework last year. At least I did. And I would get up at like 6, so I got like 7 hours. This year I try to go to bed at like by 10, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But to feel well rested, I feel like 8, which is probably sounds like so ridiculous to
No,
Jennifer, but
that's when I start my homework, maybe.
yeah, I feel like I require like I guess a healthy amount of sleep. Honestly, I think that's what we all require. Just most don't do it. But
for me, I just like doing homework at night. I like doing calculus in the middle of the night for some reason.
Yeah.
And I actually end up getting like 7 hours of sleep with my nap. So it's like at night I'll only get like 4 hours, but then I'll take a nap and then I get another like 3 or so.
Yeah.
It works out.
Yeah, for me, homework has always, and hopefully we can get into a discussion about this later, but homework has been a really weird thing for me because, like, in middle school, I never had a problem with homework. I just kind of did it, but like in the process of like thinking about everything and questioning everything, and homework's become something that I really despise because I feel like it sets us up for when we're adults to have a really crappy work-life balance where when you're an adult, you're supposed to, and this is my idealized vision of what the adult looks like. When you leave the workplace, and like this is assuming like a white collar workplace, but even a blue collar one, you're done with the work day. You shouldn't be going home and doing more work.
I totally agree with you. I'm someone, like I said before, I've always enjoyed school, but the one thing I haven't liked and that's caused me stress is having to like take school home with me.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty close to my family, so I feel like it kind of I don't know, is a hindrance to that too, and just kind of balancing other aspects of life besides school.
I'd say like senior year, I've definitely tried to prioritize my life outside of school more than I usually do. But school definitely takes a priority. Like you spend 7 hours of your day at school and then you go home and you have hours worth of homework. And it's hard to fit in friendships and relationships, and those usually get pushed to the weekend. But now that it's senior year, I've tried to prioritize my relationships over homework in some ways, at least.
Yeah, for me, I try and do as much as humanly possible at school. Like, I don't go to lunch because I just want to get the homework done. I stay after for like a half an hour every day, and that's after all the clubs to make sure that like I'm getting the homework done, and then whatever I don't get done, I'll just wake up at like 2:30 or something and get it done then. Because God forbid I go home and do the homework, but
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just.
Golly, yeah, I do not think I could do that.
I'm not like that.
I feel like I take way too long on my homework than probably necessary. I've just always been like a slower, more methodical worker, I guess. And ever since I was little, I've literally been the same like my entire life. Like my parents will tell you, they always tell me that I've been my own parent, and that because I would get home from school in first grade and I was so excited. Oh, back in the day. I was so excited because I had homework.
Oh.
So I would like run up to my room and do all of it and then come down. And then like I'd make my mom quiz me for a test that was like in 2 weeks, and she'd be like, "Mel, do you know it?" And I was like, "No, Mom, I need to study." So I was like way more on top of things than my mom was for me.
I was the exact opposite. When I was younger, I was pretty dumb and I didn't do any of my work, and I would wait till the bus, and then I'd do all my work on the bus, and then I'd get to school. But it took until freshman year, and then freshman year I got like way too invested in school, and school was all I did and all I spent my time on. And I feel like over time, I just figured out how to BS assignments a decent amount. And also, I put in effort, like the right amount of effort, I think, into my work. I try not to put too much work, though, not
Yeah.
more than necessary.
Yeah, I have Melody's problem too of try harding too much, and like it's not like an honorable thing. Like, oh, look at me, I try hard and I'm so honorable. No, like it's a freaking burden because like sometimes you want to just BS and be done with it, and like you actually can't make yourself, and like it's kind of hard, and like occasionally you will, but
For
like
me, I still get like good grades, but and I work really hard on my assignments. I think mainly I just like put it off a decent amount, and I'll do other like fun things
yeah,
to
well I'll
avoid
do
it.
that, but
Yeah. But then when I actually do it, I feel like I focus pretty hard so I can do it as fast as I can.
oh, okay. I was thinking of it from like the Josh perspective. And I know I keep throwing him under the bus, but I have linear algebra with him every single day, and he's always like complaining about the class, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe we have to take this stupid class. I could be taking multivariable."
Something that bothers me is when people complain
Yeah,
about their classes. I just feel like
or just complain.
just like I think that some classes warrant complaints, but a lot of times complaints are unnecessary.
Yeah.
I try to limit how much I complain as best as I can.
I just feel like it doesn't help anything. Like you
Yeah.
complain, it's not going to change. It's just going to make you feel worse about it. So I mean, why bother?
Yeah. Like I'll just hear people like talk about like how a class is purposeless, and I'm like, there's obviously a purpose to this class, and just try and get the most out of it that you can,
Yeah.
and try and benefit as much as you can instead of complaining about it. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, and you're just making it feel worse to you.
Mhm.
Like all of the seniors right now who are saying, "Gosh, I can't wait till I'm off in college, and now I'm wasting this entire second semester." Well, you're only going to feel more like that if you keep saying it.
Yeah, and honestly, just make the most out of your final semester. I feel like with me, I feel a little bit purposeless going into this semester just because colleges, they just want to make sure you're like passing your classes at
Yeah.
this point. And I just feel like I'm waiting for the end,
Yeah.
and it's slowly coming, but I just want to make the most out of it. And you have ways to grow as a person no matter the situation you're in. And people seem to think that they have to wait till college
Yeah.
to like
That's not a good mindset.
And I try to stay in the moment, and I'm trying to learn the most and get the most out of my relationship at the end of this high school experience.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Melody?
Um, so yeah, I would definitely say, um, yeah, I think I haven't really felt a lack of purpose, I guess, but I think it's because I don't know, it's definitely normal. I'm definitely feeling, I think, a lot of what other people are feeling with just like restlessness and kind of ready to go like on to the next thing, I guess. While still missing things about high school in my life now. But I think for me, I just think because I've always been the same way, and I have ingrained, I guess, work ethic into myself where it's like I just feel really bad if I don't
Yeah.
get like everything I have into my schoolwork. So I think even now, and that's something that's always been a struggle for me, I guess, just because it's the balance of working hard and doing your best, but still, realizing you have a life outside of school. School is not everything. Your worth isn't found in just school. So it's like just kind of finding balance there, which I think I progress slowly with that every year, and just kind of letting go of my perfectionism. But I definitely think it's important to work hard, not just because of like, even though to some people it seems like there's not really much of a point anymore. Now they're in the second semester, but I just think it's like you're creating habits for yourself, and like I think work ethic is a huge part of your character.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think I don't know. There's definitely a balance, which I think sometimes I can be too extreme, which is just as unhealthy as not working hard enough. So, uh, so yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my answer.
Yeah, I can understand that, and the way I like to think about it, and in saying that, I just thought of this like 10 seconds ago, is like the relationship between a parent trying to teach their kid and teaching through fear versus teaching through love. And I'm sorry for breaking out the old Mr. Fout
Yes.
thing, but yeah, like I think it's a big thing where like all these students are like afraid of getting rejected by a college, so they're working hard to get a good grade so that they impress a college. While a lot of us who have like a really strong work ethic, it's because we care about learning and like we're there because like we really do want to learn like what's going on in let's say Mr. Fout's seminar. We're not like, oh, I don't understand this, I'm gonna get a bad grade, I don't know what's going on, or
Yeah.
I don't care what's happening. Like we're actually like, no, tell us more about this Plato's trap. And oh,
I definitely noticed that in the way that my parents raised me, they always raised me to motivate myself, and they were never gonna do it for me. They were never gonna bribe me, or they honestly don't even ask about my grades. And I feel like the only way to have like good skills in the workplace later in your life is if you're motivating yourself, because your parents aren't gonna be there
yeah,
to get you through it.
heck, your boss isn't gonna be there.
They just expect it. They aren't gonna praise you for every little action that you do.
Yeah, and like I definitely am very appreciative of that now. Like all through high school, like I've been all on my own with school, and like haven't been checked up on, like maybe occasionally if I have like a 0 in a class or something. But like that's that's not very common. And yeah, just like learning like what you want to do for yourself, and like you really grow within yourself and like figure out what kind of person you are, and like it's very good for like a reflection.
I honestly feel like each year in high school I've learned like some new lesson
Yeah.
about myself. Like I could identify each year. I honestly could. And like that's why I owe a lot to Clover Hill and Mass I feel like Mass like people will complain a lot about it, but it's definitely taught me some of the most important lessons in my life.
Who complains about it? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard that.
I hear people complain about it.
I think the complaints aren't really about Mass Sci. I think it's more just like work.
Also, like people are tired of being around the same 100 people that we've been around for the past 4 years.
Oh,
like, some people are.
I've never faced that, which I know Jeffers doesn't either. But I feel like even though there aren't, I guess, as many people, which might, I don't know, I guess might make some people feel confined, I feel like it makes the experience so much richer because it's like you are experiencing it with people you've like grown with and seen change over time. Yeah, and also I still feel like I don't know everyone at Mass like really well, you know. So there's always people you can know better.
I feel like I know like a decent amount about each person now, which is kind of interesting because I went into Mass and by the end of the freshman year I didn't know like half of Mass but now I could identify like all of them. And I also like I don't struggle with starting a conversation with like any of them now. I'm just so accustomed.
Yeah, I just mean like there's always more to people that you don't already know, you know? And
there's a lot of
and every year you get to meet new people who might have not had classes with as much.
I definitely like met a decent amount of new people senior year, which is kind of weird. Or like formed relationships with people that I've known since freshman year, but didn't really talk to till senior year. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, 100%. And like it's always weird because like it feels like every year like there's a certain segment of math side that like you just don't have classes with. And like that was weird, like going from freshman year to sophomore year, like, oh, these people are in math side too. Oh.
Yeah.
And, like it just keeps going that way. And obviously junior year to senior year now having to all the regular school kids, and you're like, what is math sci anymore? And like not that like it's lowered standards or anything, like they're just as hardworking as anyone else. It's just wow, there's all these new people and I thought I knew everybody.
Yeah. It's a different population.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, where do I want to take this? Do you guys play video games at all?
I don't really.
The only video game I ever like slightly cared about was Mario Kart. And, but that was many moons ago, so not really.
Yeah, I figured you guys didn't. I thought I'd just give it a shot.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, Melody, I'll give you a specific question. What do you like most about programming that you've learned in the past year?
Ooh.
I would say definitely for me, it's definitely a new territory that I've never honestly been interested in or like experienced just because I consider myself like the opposite of tech savvy. Like I am so it's just not my gifting. It doesn't necessarily like come naturally to me in any way. So I guess just in a small way, even though I know to the people who've taken other programming classes, I know they're probably learning like nothing.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, it's nice, even though I still don't think I'm very good at it. It's good to at least get exposure to it just because no matter what field you go into, technology is a growing part
It's very prominent.
of society. And so I think it's good for me to, at least in some small way, be well versed in a variety of subjects. And also Mr. D makes it so much better. So he is so incredibly helpful to me whenever I have questions. And like literally, I'll go up to him with like the app lab projects and he'll just look at it and be like, delete everything, and here's what you should do instead. So I'm still not very good at it, but Mr. D is incredibly patient with me, and a lot of other people in the class are very helpful.
I took comp sci principles last year, and I definitely think that like the experienced programmers, they think the class is a bit of a joke, but I do think it's like a pretty like casual way of being exposed a little bit to some programming, even if it's app lab.
Yeah, I really think it should be classified as a foreign language class, to be honest.
It is a completely different language, coding,
Yeah.
and it's like so necessary to be learned at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been so much more helpful than taking 3 years of Spanish. God, I hated Spanish so much.
Spanish?
I hate the forced requirement
Yeah,
aspect.
like if you want to take it, but
I think languages are so fascinating though, just because personally I'm really interested in like working internationally, that knowing different languages is like pretty necessary for that. I'm just not the best at comprehending.
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love learning a language too. It's just I had such a problem with how the courses were taught.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It was always just busy work or like some stupid project or like the teacher not actually showing us the grammar or us learning the subjunctive for like the third year in a row.
That's fair.
Yeah, it just was not a fun time for me. It really ate up a lot of classes. I was hoping to take Physics C this year and I never got a chance.
Oof. That might be like a good.
No, it is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy not to have had Physics C, but you know, like it would have been a nice thing to have.
It's a rough class.
Yeah, and like all those people that are complaining about it, they did it to themselves. Like they either said,
know.
"Oh, I want to have Dr. E again."
When they chose that class after already having him last year.
Oh yeah.
Dr. E's great though. I really like Dr. E.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, honestly.
Yeah, we had an interesting class last year, just the people that were in it. We had Alex Davis and Sampson always going at it with each other.
Yeah.
Usual. It's funny.
It was a fun class though. I enjoyed it, and yeah, we did have good people in that class, and it made it more enjoyable. So
I loved my physics class. We were honestly like the worst class. I'm pretty sure we got like the worst grades, but just the people in my class made it bearable, and we just joke around all class. It was a good time.
Yeah. Do you think Dr. E not being there was a blessing in disguise?
Yeah. To my grade.
I think it depends on the person. I feel like for people who want to go into a field that uses physics, no, because we didn't really learn that much. Or people who wanted to take the AP exam, no.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, who was, I actually enjoyed physics once I understood concepts, but I had to work really hard to understand concepts in that class. So I feel like for me, it was probably not the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Definitely helped my grade.
Yeah, I think it was most helpful for pointing out to people that we were going to have to teach it to ourselves, because the problem with Dr. E is if we had had him from the beginning of the year, we would have immediately given up on the class and saying, okay, we're not going to learn anything this year. But like when the substitutes were there, it seemed like a normal thing that we would have to teach ourselves instead. So like it got us in a little bit of a habit with that. And I know when Dr. E came back second, yeah.
It bothered me when people would complain so much about the situation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I realized that it sucked in a lot of ways that we had substitutes who couldn't necessarily teach to the same level as Dr. E, but I felt like a lot of people didn't make the best out of the situation, and you kind of just needed to teach yourself, and there was just too much complaining and like parents getting involved, and
Oh
your
yeah.
children should be able to handle these problems.
Yeah, and it's weird because like every person I talk to about this, they say the same thing. So I don't know whose parents were complaining, but
I mean,
I knew some of them.
I feel like just if you're struggling in the class already, then and if you're like a parent who's monitoring your child's grades, that can kind of, I guess, cause you to be a bit alarmed. But I think considering the circumstances, they did the best they could, and Mr. McNear was the kindest man ever, and he was so nice. So I actually really enjoyed him a lot.
Yeah, I liked Mr. McNear. I hated the next guy though. I forget his name now, but he was terrible.
Ramsdale.
Yeah, stupid Ramsdale.
Ramsdale? I can never pronounce his name correctly, but you know, he did his best, and you know what? At least we had a teacher. That's what we have to look at.
Burns did the best he could, to be honest.
Yeah,
he was given. Not that many teachers are. There's not that many like qualified to teach physics, and considering if you're actually good at physics, you can make a ton of money outside of schooling. That's where most of them go. They're not going to go to teaching high school.
I don't know. I think a lot of them actually do go into teaching high school, to be honest, just because there's such a lack of physics teachers. I know we were exposed to that last year, but just throughout the world, there isn't a lot of people that go into physics.
See, like, I felt like with Dr. E, a big reason why he was teaching high school is because he'd already worked in the field that would get him a lot of money knowing physics, and it was just kind of something fun to do. But, like, I think Burns, like, struggled finding another physics teacher. There's just not that many people who major in it.
Yeah. I always wish I had more of a relationship with Mr. Burns. Like, I don't think I've ever talked to him in my 4 years here. That's kind of sad.
I barely have. I became a Math Sci ambassador, and that's when I have had the most interaction with him. I feel like he's usually just interacting with, like, the Math Sci play people.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like he's very accessible. I feel like honestly, it's just kind of a matter of if you do things that kind of interact with what he does too, which I unfortunately haven't gone to as much, I guess, as I would have wanted. But I don't know. Just from him coming into our classes and talking to us about like the honor code and random stuff, I feel like I still know him and his personality. So he seems really
very representative of Math Sci.
Yeah. And I always really enjoyed him coming into the classes. I wish he did that more often.
I like how he just had like a comedy skit. That was basically
Oh yeah.
It was great.
If you had a mental illness, which one do you think it would likely be?
Oh my.
Wow.
I would like none of them. But if I had to have one, like if
well, not which one would you like to have, but which one would you think you had?
Yeah, because I'd like to have none of them.
Yeah.
Which do I think I'd have? That's a tough one.
I'd probably just have like general anxiety. I try to like be solid in my decisions, but every once in a while I get a bit of it. Or there'll just be like little phases of being in like a sad mood, but I don't know, I think in general Melody and I are happy individuals.
For me, I guess the first thing that came to mind is OCD, but I feel like I really cannot say that because I have like no, I really am not OCD, and also I don't like it when people say that they're OCD as like as a hyperbole, I guess, which like I do not like it when people say that because that's like an actual thing
Yeah,
that
that
people have.
burdens people.
So I'd say for me, I'm a perfectionist, so I guess that's the only reason I might say that. But I guess out of all of them, maybe.
Yeah, that's like people going around and like calling people a schizo if like they're acting out.
Yeah.
Like that's just not cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Not it.
There's honestly like a decent amount of people I've noticed that have been like struggling with depression, at least.
Oh
in
yeah, like
some
there's a lot of people on that side that are dealing with that.
And I try my best to like be comforting and talk through it with people. There's a lot more than I think people realize that are dealing with depression.
Hmm.
And I feel like we tend to like we don't understand what people are going through at home or in their day-to-day lives.
I would say I think with the whole, which I've heard a few people talking about it, how it's more prevalent with like the seniors than it was
Yeah.
like last year amongst our class, and
Definitely.
I think a lot of people are just, they're struggling with what college do I go to, what's my purpose in life. Like people are just kind of coming to this place where like all they've known is kind of fading, and it kind of
We're at
comes
a
to
changing point in our
yeah,
lives.
and it's like more significant than going into high school because this is kind of the foundation for what you want the rest of your life to be about. So
Yeah, and it's always a weird thing when you're talking about endogenous versus just like symptomatic depression, where like because everyone just thinks depression. Oh, well, my I don't know, my wife died, or oh, I don't know, something like that, and like they think that it's like a symptomatic thing, like oh, you're just having a bad day, and like
Yeah.
it's a weird thing to talk about mental illness because like it's like your brain's just broken, and what do you do?
And it's honestly it's not talked about enough. There's so many people that are dealing with mental illnesses. And I don't think we necessarily have the right approach. Like
No.
mental health days are sometimes really necessary for people just as much as a physical health like ailment could have on like keeping someone out of school for a day.
Oh, absolutely. It's been interesting that like we haven't had any problems with bullying, at least from my perspective. Maybe people are getting bullied, but from what I can tell, it seems like we're pretty good about that.
I definitely agree. I honestly think we're in a pretty nice pool of people in general being in Mass I and just like in the Clover Hill seniors
Yeah.
we're surrounded by in the AP class.
Just like the whole school, it's kind of weird for a public school like that. They just don't seem to have problems with bullying.
I mean, I think bullying is definitely still an issue for some people, probably. But I would also say I think as people have become more like aware of bullying over time, I think like I don't think it's looked at as cool or like as something acceptable to outsiders. Like people aren't as tolerant of it, and
it usually like hurts someone's
it kind of hurts your reputation. I feel like nobody wants
no
to
matter
be
what
labeled
group you're in.
as a bully.
But I would say like there's not that much bullying, but there's definitely a lot of like talking behind people's backs or just like slight insults about people.
Less direct forms.
Yeah, definitely less direct forms. Which still is like hurtful, but a lot of times the person that they're talking about doesn't hear about it, but still it should be avoided.
I think that's also a problem with smart people because like I think we all recognize there's an advantage to doing that, and like you can give yourself a leg up, and I mean it sucks that it's the case, but it is, and like I like to think that like I know people like talk behind my back, but like I accept it. I say, okay, you're gonna talk behind my back. What am I gonna do? If I don't want to spend time with you, I don't have to.
Yeah, the main thing that you can do to address that is just to avoid those kinds of people.
Yeah.
Spend time and don't spend your time with people who are constantly gossiping because I'm sure they're doing the same about you.
Oh yeah.
I try to avoid those people as best as I can.
Yeah, just not to take it so seriously. Like, does it really make a difference?
Like people, the way that people act, it really barely affects you. So I don't see a purpose in gossiping about it. I think it's just like is like a conversation.
It's just a filler.
People. Yeah, and I'd rather talk about more significant things.
Speaking of more significant things, what do you think about anime?
Anime. I actually have seen some, but it's usually like more like generic stuff, like
like Pokemon.
No, like Hayao Miyazaki. This is a certain director, but that's like commercialized.
I've never really been interested in anime, honestly, but
I'm not really too much. Are you?
Oh, sorry, you were asking me.
Yeah, yeah. Are you, Brian?
In a way, I was kind of exposed to it this past year. And so over this past summer, it's become like a recurring topic on the podcast. Like I did a pre-college experience at Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New York. Not New York. It's literally like right across the river from New York and New Jersey. And that was really important for me because before that, the longest I had been away from my parents was 2 days. So I was going on something where I was going to be away for 2.5 weeks. So
Yeah.
that was really big. And one of the things there was this kid from Saudi Arabia, of all places. Wasn't really from Saudi Arabia. He was born in the U.S., but he was like on a military base in Saudi Arabia. He was really into anime, and unbeknownst to me, he got me into hentai. I don't know if you know what that is, but like I was shocked to find out that was what I was watching because I was like, Jesus, these Japanese people are really out there with it. But I'll let you guys look that up if you don't know what it is. Right?
Jennifer has a looks shocked, and I have no idea what it is. So
She'll tell you later. Yeah, I was shocked. I thought that was what normal anime was, so like I thought it was ridiculous. But no, like the toned down stuff that's been really enjoyable.
I know it like definitely like brings together people, and there's a whole community around anime. I've
Yeah.
just never really gotten into it myself, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting option. Like a lot of it, I think of it a lot like hockey in the U.S. Like not many people watch it, but like not many people are exposed to it for some reason. Like you just gotta
Yeah.
give yourself a chance with everything.
Yeah. I try to be open to like different forms of like any entertainment
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, one of the weirdest things I found about it is that they literally have like 90-second theme songs. And like I just think about how like you wouldn't be able to get away with that in the US at all. Like
Yeah.
if you have
We have
longer than
short
like 15
attention
seconds.
span.
We definitely do have a short attention span.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not gonna ask that. It was a question about Christian, not Christian. Why did I say that? Christmas TV shows. I think that's a little late to be talking about now.
A bit.
Yeah. Okay, this could be interesting. So from a guy's perspective, there are things about the women folk that we don't understand, and that I only have the confidence to ask about due to not being in the same room as you two. What do you do?
Brian, it's fine. We
Ask
don't care.
anything you want.
Yeah. So what do you do for fun together?
So
We go to the city a decent amount.
yeah, Jennifer is definitely, she really likes going to Richmond and Carytown. So a lot of times we'll do that. Sometimes we'll get food together and stuff, but also half the time either like Jennifer's broke or sorry, or I like hate spending money. So either that or I don't want to spend money.
We'll just like
So
go to your house
yeah,
usually.
a lot of times we'll go to my house because my mom is like always cooking stuff. So
I love her
Jennifer
family.
will basically sit and talk with my dad and eat food from my mom, and then I just kind of go along for the ride. So
I honestly just like coming over and, or like to any of my friends, I'll just go and talk to them for a really long time. I can talk about like anything.
I would say the main thing we do is talk.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot.
All right, that makes sense. What's the biggest misconceptions us guy have about the women folk?
Do you go first? You can. Misconceptions.
I think it depends. Because I don't know. I feel like it's easy to kind of categorize girls, I guess, into like kind of two different categories. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, where it's like I don't even know how to explain it.
Like, I guess like sometimes guys will like see girls as like dateable or undateable in a lot of ways, just based off of their general personalities. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the girls who didn't get approached by guys in high school were more quality. in certain aspects. Sorry.
I sense like a personal thing coming out here.
That's what I meant.
That's not what I meant. I think one misconception is that I I don't know. I guess one misconception is that some girls like I guess their values or like what they care about, which I don't know. I mean I don't know what guys think about girls honestly, but
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm an open book too. Feel free to ask.
but okay, so what do you think is the stereotypical girl named Ryan? Because I feel like that's kind of how you can derive misconceptions.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm the complete wrong person to ask. Like, if you think about like, okay, what is the stereotypical guy, and then what's Ryan? Like, unless you're getting like a gay guy, you're not gonna get much farther from the stereotypical person. But that's a really weird question. How would I answer that? I really don't know, to be honest.
I mean, that's okay. I think one thing is that like between and just friendships between guys and girls that like I'd say one misconception is that girls like don't want to be like I don't know, like your friend, you know, like they want to like if you have something like a problem or something, they want to help you. Like all those types of things that I don't know if guys don't think they can go to girls for things. I'm sure some people do, but I think it's more natural, I guess, to go to your friends of the same gender instead of like, you know, where I don't know.
I think in general with guys though, they don't really go to
oh
anyone.
yeah, like want to ask for help.
Mhm.
Well, no, I think it goes back to the dateable thing that you were talking about, and like with most guys wanting to, and like always being concerned about being perceived as vulnerable. Like that's a big thing for guys. Like we don't want to be seen as weak because society says guys can't be weak. So like going to someone who could be a prospective romantic interest, that's just a no. Like you don't want to be seen as weak in their eyes, and I feel
That
like
makes
that's
sense.
where that comes from.
It's intimidating. I guess it's the same on the girls' part. I just think they're a lot of times more willing to be vulnerable.
Well, society lets them be vulnerable more.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was talking to like one of my guy friends, and they just like they told me that like you just can't talk to. They couldn't talk to their other guy friends about like things that were bothering them, or like mental illness or any of that. And I don't know, like with girls, I feel like it's a lot more common for us to talk about it with each other.
Yeah, I feel like girls are more open with how they feel with one another. I mean, I don't want to also misconceive boys in any way.
Yeah.
The dudes made
I'll
me
let you know.
super vulnerable when we don't when we don't know it.
I have feelings too.
Exactly, you do have feelings, Ryan. But so I don't know. That's definitely an interesting question. It's kind of hard, I guess, because I don't really know. I guess
I
the
wish
guy's
I
perspective.
understood them a bit more. I've gotten like more guy friends like recently, I'd say. I still don't understand them though.
Yeah, I can relate to that because like for some reason all through like sophomore and junior year I was friends with way more girls than guys, and it made no sense because like all through middle school that was not me at all, and frankly I'd say all through sophomore and junior year that was not me at all. But so I don't really know how I found myself in that situation, but there it happened. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it's good to have friends of both genders just
Yeah.
because they kind of balance you in different ways. Like my friends that are girls, I feel like I can talk more about things that like I don't know about how I'm feeling or like I don't know different things that I know guys would like not want to do. I guess, but with guys, I think typically they're more like lighthearted and fun, and not that girls aren't, but
a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, laid back. So
Conversations.
I know last year, like just in my classes, like you mentioned Sam and Alex, but even like in my APRIS class, well, Alex was in that class too, but then also like Josh Lax and Zach Johnson and Sammy and like just different guys who have classes with, they kind of helped me to be less intense, which for someone like my personality is very healthy, I think. So it's just kind of good to have friends from both perspectives and personalities.
I agree.
Yeah. And my problem with relationships is always just going back to that OCD thing. Like I view every relationship as like a competition where like I'm trying to win, and that's a really unhealthy way of looking at any relationship because that essentially puts a timestamp on any of them where eventually you're gonna feel like you either won too much or feel like you're in a hopeless cause, and like it's gonna end right there. But like that creates a big problem where like you're, at least for me, and like once again, I don't represent every guy here, but like you don't feel comfortable talking about things because you're like, oh, that's not gonna give me a leg up, or like, oh, yeah, like it's just it creates a weird situation, and like it's not enviable, but you take it for what it is.
Yeah, I understand that.
This is always a weird question. Do you prefer being woman?
Do I prefer it? Definitely.
Oh, like woman, female. Okay, yeah. Yes, I
just feel like I can talk more about things, and I'm just like not interested in most of the things that guys are interested in, or like the stereotypical guy is interested in.
I mean, also, I don't know what it'd be like to be a guy, so I don't know. I can't really speak from the other perspective, but I feel like I really like it also because I think we live in a society that is getting more equal with women.
Yeah.
But even so, I don't like it, but in a way, it's kind of nice not being the person that people always expect to do.
Oh yeah, you always have an
I guess
excuse.
yeah, and so I'd say I really like that, and also I don't know.
I like the fact that in relationships, the girl usually doesn't have to be the one to start things.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
I thought you were gonna say doesn't have to pay.
Oh, that too. Also, I feel like if I were a guy, I'd be like so
timid
because I'm like way too. I don't know how to say it.
I'm reserved, so
I'm way too positive. That's not too bad. There are definitely positive guys, but I feel like my personality is just kind of like it'd be so weird if I feel like I definitely have I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, so I go females.
Gotta love them.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll close that down there. I think I kept it relatively tame.
I like these questions.
Yeah, these are interesting.
Oh, good, because I was about to get into philosophical questions.
All right, let's go.
Going deep.
So if we cured death, do you think you would accept that cure?
No. I think it's very necessary. I feel like without death, we wouldn't try as much to have purpose in our life. Also, Melody's a Christian, so she's probably gonna say something.
Yeah, I am. So
You're never making it to the end.
I think what? Sorry.
I said never making it to the end.
Oh, well, yeah. But also, I feel like you kind of get to a point of your life. I mean, some lives are cut off short, which I feel like in that case, it'd be harder to not use it. But I feel like I personally believe everyone, goes when it's their time, even if it really doesn't make sense, and even if it seems as though their life is cut short. So I'd say that, but then also just, especially most people die of like older age, and I feel like at that point, by then you've lived a pretty full life, hopefully, and I mean,
I just feel like I wouldn't.
Like death is just part of life in the most ironic sense. So, I mean, I think it kind of it has to be there.
Yeah, it seems like it's a motivator.
Yeah. You only have so much time. You have to fill it as best as you can. It also makes you, if you had an unlimited amount of time, you'd be a lot more prone to wasting it.
We would all be like the mom on Tangled, who's like kind of insane and trying to live forever. We'd all be like her, which would be unhealthy. A really messed up society.
Yeah.
Great illusion.
Do you think we will ever cure it?
No. Well, I mean, you can cure different causes of death, I guess. Like, different diseases or
Yeah.
sicknesses, but
I think
death
maybe,
in
like,
general, no.
the age that we die could probably
Yeah.
get
You can
expanded.
delay it, but you can't
'Cause
stop it.
It has definitely been expanded in the past 50 years. I'm not sure how much farther it could go, really.
Yeah, because like the thing with it is we're not extending the maximum age you can get to. We're just getting more and more
Yeah.
people to that point.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we're eradicating more diseases and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the day we cure death, that's the last day we're human. Not that that's a bad thing. I kind of like being a robot, but you know. Let's see. How would you rank the 6 flavors? Those being sour, bitter, spicy, sweet, umami, and I'm missing one. Crap. Salty.
What's
umami?
isn't that meat?
Yeah,
Is that-
yeah. So meat, like the meat flavor. It's also in tomatoes for some reason.
Okay, I would say
Jennifer will go first.
All right. So 1, I would say salty, and then 2, is that savory? Is savory one of them?
Yeah, that's umami basically.
Okay, and then 3 sweet, and then 4 spicy. I like spicy, and then 5 sour. What is 6?
Bitter.
Bitter. Yeah, that's 6.
Mine would probably be actually pretty similar to Jennifer's. I'd say, honestly, sweet might be first because I do like desserts, but then also like I love fruit and fruit's sweet. So I maybe sweet and salty would definitely be my first 2. Then probably spicy is probably like my last one because I
love spicy.
have the blandest, whitest taste buds, and it's so bad.
Really does.
But so that's probably last. But then maybe sour, maybe. I like lemons, so maybe. And then probably the umami meat one. Because I feel like I like meat, but I feel like if I had to be a vegetarian, I could do it. So, and then probably bitter, then spicy.
Okay, bitter over spicy. Wow.
I disagree.
I cannot have salsa. Like I can't have anything.
You're missing out.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I like some spicy, not to the point where it's like.
Yeah, no, you don't like your ghost pepper salsa?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Those people are crazy.
Appetizing. I think that, like, to a certain extent, like, spiciness can just take away from the flavor, but if it's moderated, then
yeah, it overpowers it.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah. So for me, it used to be salty first, but I think at this point, spicy's kind of overpowered that, as I just said. So yeah, probably a spicy, then salty, then savory, then I think bitter, then sweet, then sour. Like I'm really not a sweet guy, and I thought for a while that like 50% of guys were like into sweets, and then like 50% weren't, and then like 99% of women were. But apparently, am I wrong?
I like dark chocolate and I love strawberries. Like those 2 things are the best. So
that's true. I like chocolate a lot.
Yeah, chocolate's good. We fit that stereotype.
Yeah. I don't think I've had chocolate in a long time.
You need some chocolate.
Dark chocolate's good for you. That's how I justify it.
It is good for you.
Let's see. What's your favorite food ethnicity?
Ooh, okay. So I'm gonna go with, well, in general, I really love Japanese hibachi. Like I love it, and I love like Mexican, Spanish, ethnic food. But my most unique one that I feel like I have to say is Ethiopian food because my brother's from Ethiopia, and and there's a really good Ethiopian restaurant for any listeners out there who want to try it in Richmond. And it's called Addis, and it is very good.
I went with Melody to go to this Ethiopian restaurant, and it was really good. I honestly like all types of food. I will eat anything. I like Japanese a lot, just because I really like sushi, and I like hibachi. And then Italian's definitely up there, just because I feel like in my family it's just ingrained. We eat Italian food almost on a daily basis, to be honest.
Yeah, my family consumes way too much pasta. That's fine.
I love pasta.
So that's actually amazing that you mentioned Ethiopian food, because I was just going to mention how badly like I've still been trying to get myself to try Ethiopian food.
That's
So
funny.
You really
You should go to that downtown restaurant.
Yeah, you should go. It's really good. And yeah, and if you like ask them, like what you should get if you like don't know where to start, they're so nice and helpful because they're all like authentic Ethiopians. So so they know what they're talking about. So
yeah, how is it with nut allergies? Because that was my concern.
um I'm honestly not really sure. I don't think that would be really an issue. Basically the main thing that I recommend getting is injera, which is like it's kind of like this bread like base, and but it's not like bread. It's kind of spongy and kind of bitter. And you use that, you like tear off pieces to grab the other food so you don't use utensils.
Yeah.
And they have like a lot of different meats.
Don't you
like,
only use your right hand?
Yeah, that's for like yes, when we were in Ethiopia, we ate at a Somali like restaurant, and to respect like their Muslim culture, yes, you are correct. So
That's
cool.
like
Women had to eat separately from men, and it was pretty interesting. And we had to eat rice without utensils, so we were just like scooping our hands and like trying not to like
that's funny.
put our hands in our mouths because that's like unsanitary. But yeah. And I had camel while I was there, which is like really good. So.
You know, I've actually heard about ostrich meat being a big thing in the Middle East. Have you had that?
Wow. I have not.
I want to.
Yeah, I'll try it, but no, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully I can show my parents this, and that'll convince them that I am, in fact, able to eat Ethiopian food while having a nut allergy.
I think you
Just
should
talk
be
to
able
them.
to. Yeah.
They'll let you know what you can and
I
can't.
don't. Everything I eat, I don't think has nuts in it, but again, like in the fine print, you never know. I guess. So.
Yeah, fine. Oh no, it was on the menu. Yeah, I'll definitely check out Addis though.
Yeah.
Let's see. And yeah, I'm a really big fan of Italian food too. I have a nice Sicilian heritage, so that's very helpful.
Oh, you're Italian?
Cool.
Like, what am I like? I want to say 25%, but I'm not really sure to be honest.
I'm about the same.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, I'm probably not quite 50, but like my dad's side is like very Italian because my great grandparents on that side were born in Italy, so they're pretty authentic. I mean, my family isn't as much as them, but yeah. So
Where in Italy were they from?
I honestly do not know. My grandfather came over with his family when he was a kid.
Okay, so right around World War II.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure exactly, honestly. I'll have to
Mine are from
call him up.
I think mine are from Florence and Bologna.
Okay, so Northern Italians, huh?
Yeah, I went there this past summer. That I convinced my family. I begged them for like a year to take me to Italy as like the final trip with my family. That was one of my favorite experiences, and I really want to live in Europe at some point in my life. It's just so expensive, though.
Yeah, I really want to live in Australia, to be honest.
That would be so cool.
That's like one of the places I
want that accent.
I really want to go to Australia.
You want that accent?
I want that accent.
The accents are really nice. But yeah, it's so beautiful there. So definitely.
Yeah,
and the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, like I'm just getting kind of sick of the American political system, and like it seems like Australia does everything right. So like
that's fair, to be honest.
Go hold a koala, pet a kangaroo,
and hopefully avoid the scorpions.
Oh yeah, I've heard something about how they have the most dangerous.
Oh yeah, like
the Australian outback.
Like everything except the coastline is a death trap.
And everyone lives on the coastline. Like if you look at the population, it's just all on the coast.
Yeah, and then there's just a massive desert.
I think you'd be fine, Ryan.
You could totally handle it.
Yeah, I'd love to give it a shot at some point. It's just, such a big lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Just like moving across the United States is a big lifestyle change.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Moving like
I want to do, to be honest.
You don't like the East Coast?
I like the East Coast, but I have a lot of family on the West Coast, and I've been there a decent amount, and there's like a different vibe to it that I appreciate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where on the West Coast are they?
I have family in Los Angeles and San Luis Obispo, so that's towards like south to middle of California.
Okay.
I actually went in
So like Bay
November.
Area or
Like what do you mean Bay Area?
because like when you say like south to middle, that sounds like relatively close to like the south.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They're just mainly like they're just south of San Francisco. All of my family.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you guys were mentioning music earlier. What's your favorite kinds of music?
Jennifer's been excited for this one. Jennifer.
So, I will honestly listen to any type of music. I love music. I feel like I have it constantly playing. I kind of like trap and rap sometimes, and I feel like most people would not associate me with that at all. I also like old music in general. It depends on the mood.
Yeah.
And I like some like alternative kind of music.
Yeah. For me, I'd say I have kind of a weird eclectic taste, I guess, because in the mornings, like while I'm getting ready and stuff and I'm listening to music, I always listen to like soft Christian music to get me like in a good mindset, you know? So, and I love listening to Christian music, so
Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take.
amen. Not that.
Not really.
Maybe in the car. No, not that hard.
So yeah, I do like listening to some Christian songs and stuff, but then it just depends on my mood. Like so yeah, in the mornings when I'm like trying to wake up, I like listening to softer music, and then if I'm working out or like on a run or like want something more hype, I recommend everyone go follow Mel's Poppin' Jams on Spotify.
I'm a loyal member.
It's a great playlist.
It's classic.
Yeah, I like oldies music, but then also I like 2000s pop. And also one thing I've actually really liked listening to lately in the past like 2 months is Hamilton. I've
That's
actually
funny.
been listening to it, which probably most people don't know because it's still kind of relatively new to me. But yeah, I kind of like listening to that
That's cool.
sometimes. So it just kind of depends.
Mine have definitely like developed recently, I'd say. Like I would never listen to like rap music before. Maybe I'm getting angsty or something.
I think so.
It's a phase.
What?
It's just a phase.
It might be. It like hypes me up a decent amount, I guess. I think that's why I like it.
Yeah. So just to follow up on San Luis Obispo, it's about halfway in between San Francisco and Los Angeles. So yeah, not at all close to it. And,
Yeah, it's a pretty small area. That's where most of my family lives.
Yeah, but so for music, for me, you guys mentioned Jennifer at least mentioned how her tastes were developing for that. So mine have as well, to the point where I don't listen to music anymore.
Really?
Yeah, like at
You
all.
should listen to music. I think it's good for you.
Well, so here's the problem. I want to listen to music. I just can't.
Why?
So like the problem it really is I've gotten way too into podcasts. So like whenever I'm listening to music, I'm like, geez, I could be learning right now, or I could be like being entertained, and like I'm just listening to music like an idiot. You know, like, it's not a good thing.
I'm the type of person I just like having something on like while I'm doing other things.
Same.
So either it's music or sometimes I will listen to podcasts actually. Yesterday I listened to a podcast about podcasting.
You should listen to this one.
To prepare.
That's funny.
Did my homework. But it was like it's like metacognition but like meta
That's
podcasting.
Ooh, I like it.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all listen to Topical when you're trying to find some other things to do.
Definitely. Everyone give it those high ratings on iTunes.
I actually had a question about.
Yeah.
How do you pick who you want to come on your show?
Well, it all depends on how smart I think they are. If they're idiots, they're not coming on here. Now, that's obviously completely incorrect. So how do I figure out who can come on here? Really, I just ask whoever I think is actually going to be willing to come on here. That's pretty much it. Like, if you want to come on, you can come on.
That's cool. like different perspectives, and if you're open to everyone, then
Yeah, people with
different
different
perspectives.
interests, personalities.
Oh yeah, like just anybody that I feel like I can hold a conversation with. Like I don't want to talk to somebody I've literally never talked to before. Like maybe I'll be able to do it with them, but that's hard. But
Because I was a little bit surprised because I hadn't actually seen you since freshman year.
no, I know. I was literally just scrolling through my contacts. I'm like, oh, Jennifer, I haven't talked to her in a while. Maybe this will go. But really, the thing that I thought about, I don't know if you remember this, but this is still the only time I've done this, was that I'm sure you did it a lot more with your other friends, but this was the only one I ever did. Was the Skype group chat that you did at like 2 in the morning one time in freshman year, and it was
like Zainab?
yeah, like
or
Zainab,
Anika?
me, Annika, Yash for some reason, and then
That was a strange occasion.
yeah, I think it was on daylight savings time or something, so like it changed from like 2 to 3, and you're like, where'd the hour go?
I feel like at 2 a.m. that's when I talk to like random people sometimes. It's funny.
Yeah, so that was where the idea for this came from, and then really why I started podcasting was like I always hated texting so much because what I wanted from texting was for it to be like a conversation where both people were attentive and ready and with their fingers and ready to go, and like nobody ever would be, and like they would take like 5 minutes to respond, and that'd be annoying. But
I think with texting and in general, like a lot of relationships like go down over text, and I just feel like I try to avoid texting as much as I can because I feel like I'd rather my relationships were formed in person, and I feel like people will get like a false idea of me over text because you can't convey exactly who you are over text. I feel like.
yeah, it's a hard thing, and like it's just a separate thing, and like you take it for what it is. Do you guys like getting your haircut?
My haircut?
Yeah.
I actually got it like kind of chopped recently.
It was not chopped.
It was
Getting
like
it
a couple. It was like 3 inches.
They just take a cleaver.
It was like 4 inches. I like doing it. I feel like it marks like a change, and sometimes you just need a good change.
I'd say for me, I mean, my hair is it's long. I'd say, and I like getting my hair cut, I guess, because it keeps it healthy. But I don't do very drastic things, except freshman year when I chopped off all my hair. After that, I just about cried and had a crisis. But thankfully it all.
I couldn't imagine you like that.
I know, it's kind of funny because people like forget that I did it. But also,
I think it's cool.
This is actually kind of funny. So last time I went and got my hair cut, and I got like 4 inches cut off, but no one could tell, obviously, because it's like, which is fine. I don't expect them to.
Yeah.
But and it was like a couple months ago, or it was like November or something. And the lady who was cutting my hair, and she does it like I get the same person like every time, and she was talking to me about having long hair, and I was just like, yeah, and she's like, yeah, I know, it's a real security blanket, and it just gives you a sense of security. But when you're ready, just let me know, and you'll be ready eventually to let go of this security blanket.
So funny.
And it's like, it's not a security blanket.
That's a bit presumptuous.
Long hair.
Yeah,
I get that. So, also knowing you, it's not a security blanket. You just like it.
I just like it. I mean, I feel like if it got chopped off, I would survive. But since it's my choice. For right now, it's long. Who knows? Maybe I will chop it and dye it tonight.
Only time will tell. Tonight.
I will not tonight. Or like
You just get a buzz cut. I'm joining the military. Do they make women get a buzz cut too? I don't think so.
What?
Do they make women get a buzz cut too if they join the military?
No, they do not.
So they just have to like pull their hair back.
Like, yeah, they have to wear like low buns in their hair.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of getting my hair cut personally. I don't think most guys are. Maybe there are a couple that like getting their hair touched or something, but a bunch of weirdos. But yeah, I'm not crazy about it.
I feel like guys have to get done more often too.
And it's more, I feel like with guys, a lot of times they get it too short, in my opinion. Like when they first get it cut, and then they'll complain about it a bit.
Yeah.
Or like they'll let it grow out too long. I'm talking to you, Jake.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got some long hair.
He does have long hair. Yeah.
I keep telling him to get a cut.
I feel like,
It is their personal
whatever
choice.
makes you feel like you look your best with that haircut. Does that make sense? Like, even if you don't,
do what makes you happy.
Like, do what you think looks best on you, So
honestly, who are we even trying to impress at this point?
That's true.
Impress yourself.
Yeah. So what do you think's been the biggest change that you've made in your time in high school, aside from like thinking more? Obviously, that's happened.
I've honestly just become a lot more sure of myself and knowing what I want, and I think like less reliant on like others for attention. That seems kind of bad, but I used to be like more shallow, I guess I'd say, and I feel like more independent now, and I know what I want. I know who is worth my time, I suppose.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest single change, though? Like something that you can really point to and be like, oh yeah, this was a physical change, or like this was a conscious thing, or
I'd say for me, I guess there hasn't been any like big physical changes. I've looked the same since I was like born, but I guess the biggest like conscious changes, I'd say there were two main ones for me. One was kind of determining that like instead of trying to impress other people, that I would instead try to invest in other people. So that was a big conscious change I made, because just coming into high school, it's like, oh my goodness, you're kind of overwhelmed. You don't really know people, so you just want to look for acceptance and stuff. So I think that was a big change I made, especially like sophomore year, but even into junior year. I mean, it just takes time, I guess, to develop that. But then the other big conscious change I made was to, I don't know how to succinctly put this, but I guess try to like learn more about other views and stuff, because I am a Christian. That's why I say this. But and in middle school, a lot of my friends, like all of my friends in middle school, like all the girls in CBD at my middle school were like all Christians, which was great, and I developed really great friendships with them. But at the same time, it also made me realize, okay, I need to be friends with people who have different views, and I think that's really important. So I guess just the conscious decision to be friends with people that had different beliefs and opinions on things than me, just so I could have a broader perspective and not be as ignorant to other people's opinions, and instead of just like dismissing them, like, oh my gosh, these people, they're so wrong, actually trying to understand how they feel about things and why they're passionate about things. So
I'm trying to do like the same thing. I definitely say.
yeah. Okay. What kind of cravings do you usually get? Which I know is a weird question, but like do you get food cravings? Do you like get cravings for a song? Do you?
I definitely do get like the song craving. Like there'll be one song that's on my mind like all school day, and then I'll get out of school and I'll listen to it like on full blast in my car.
Sometimes that happens to me too. I always joke with my mom, and I tell her like, down the road when I'm married and I'm pregnant, I don't want to just go when I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
But like, even if I don't have food cravings, I'm gonna pretend that I do, just so I can get whatever food I want. But I feel like with food, I definitely crave smoothies, which like I'm not even just saying that. Like literally, I think because I have it so much, it's actually like smoothies are healthy, but like it's kind of probably not healthy how I do it, because literally if I don't have it one day, like I don't know. My brain
Anarchy.
I just like have to have it, which so it's kind of like my coffee.
Addicted to it.
I think I am. There's something in those. Not something. No drugs, kids, but yeah.
Yeah, not that kind of smoothie. What food?
It's her strawberry banana smoothie.
Oh yeah.
Alright, gotcha. With the kale? Oh wait, no, that's right. You don't eat kale. You use spinach.
Just
or like whatever you want to throw in a blender.
Anything works.
Yeah. Are you picky with food at all?
You are.
I think slightly. Okay, I think there are distinct things I don't like, but then other than that, but I also am pretty habitual with like if I go to a restaurant, I normally get the same thing. So like in that way, I'm not that adventurous. But like I don't know.
I feel like you will, if they have the things that you're habitually like, then you'll get that. But
Yeah.
you'll like eat most things.
Yeah,
I'd say if it's not spicy.
Yeah, they're just I don't like spicy. I don't like pineapple. I don't like
You don't
cheese
like
on my
pineapple?
pizza. I
You
don't
don't like cheese on your
tomatoes.
pizza?
No,
It's so weird. She
I
likes cabbage
am a
beets and
disgrace
pizza.
to my heritage.
For me, I'll eat like anything. I am not picky at
Jennifer,
all.
yeah, that's true. Jennifer will eat like anything.
Anything you put in front of me, I'll eat spicy. I'll eat any kind of ethnic food. I love it.
Oh, okay. Really, I'll eat almost anything except for onions. Onions are horrible.
I get that. I feel like I'm used to them just being added to random dishes.
I like onions. I just don't like it when they're overbearing.
Yeah.
I get that.
Overpowering.
I don't like onions.
Onions are so overbearing. Not like that.
What a burden.
Yeah, I just have a
They're powering.
yeah, I just have a really big problem with their texture for some reason.
Yeah.
They just
Understandable.
look like little ghosts or something in my meals. Let's see. Dang it, I had something and I just lost it. What do you think about magicians?
I don't really watch America's Got Talent anymore, but I used to sometimes with my family, and I always like watching magicians. I think it's really cool. And I went through a phase. I had so many weird like hobby phases in middle school, and Jennifer had some weird like I don't know
Personality phases?
crisis phases. But I went through a phase when I like tried to learn all these card tricks, and I wasn't good at any of them. But
That's
so yeah.
adorable. I definitely went through some phases. This was when I was way younger, though. There was a Hunger Games phase. There was a goth phase.
Oh, goth phase.
It was pretty dramatic.
I've always looked the same. I've always been the same. I just like I don't know, but I just have weird hobbies. Like I had an origami phase.
Oh. Paper
I
cuts.
went through a collection phase where I literally collected fake bugs, like plastic bugs, and I had a box full of them.
That is so weird.
I had some. I was strange.
It's okay. It adds character.
Yeah.
Do you guys go to parties? And if so, do you like parties?
I mean, I've been to a couple. I visited my sister at college a couple times. And I'll go then. But there's honestly not that many parties. And the parties that I have with my friend groups is just all of us getting together and like eating food together.
Yeah, they're very pure. I'd say I guess it kind of depends on what you consider a party, I guess. Because I feel like I don't know.
We have a loose interpretation of
Yeah,
party.
my interpretation of party is like a gathering of people doing some, like celebrating something, I guess. Which, in that case, yes, because I'm a big celebrating type of person. Like, I love holidays, I love birthdays, and I love celebrating people. So, in that way, yeah, but the stereotypical,
Like high
I guess
school
high school party,
party.
no.
No. With less drinking.
Yeah, I don't get those invites. That's okay. It's for the best.
Yeah. How many people does it have to be a party?
I don't know. I feel like maybe like 10.
I think
honestly
it just kind of depends on like what you consider a party.
Honestly, I consider like all of my friends getting together, like 5 of them,
Yeah,
and us
I
like eating
consider
food.
that-
That's like a party.
yeah, a food party. Or like if you're just having a dance party by yourself,
Yeah,
that's a party.
Yeah.
Alright, I got you. Do you think cell phones could be an addiction?
Yes.
Miss Haley.
I love it.
I feel like I'm more addicted to mine than Melody. I try not to use social media as much, but I have like all of the platforms.
Yeah, I'd say I don't use my phone that much, I guess, compared at least to most teenagers. Still, sometimes I'm like Melody, just like, I don't know, destroyed or something. But I think it's a lot easier for me not to because I don't have like Snapchat, Instagram. Like I don't have all that stuff, which a lot of people are
Good for
like,
you.
you know, why don't you have it? Because most people do. And there have been times where I've been tempted, but every time I'm tempted, I just tell myself, no, Melody, like you are going to waste so much time on it. And plus, I don't know. I just feel like I always felt like Instagram would make me compare myself to people so much more. So that's why I avoided that. And then Snapchat, I feel like that takes up so much time because it's like throughout your day.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't like it when people like only do things so that they can like put on Snapchat.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
And so like, and I felt like it would also make me feel like, oh, all these people are doing something right now. Like, why am I not there? Like, I think it
definitely
makes you.
promotes like comparison. Like I have Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, and I try to like. I honestly barely go on Instagram. Like I never actually use it myself. And then like Snapchat, I feel like it's just a good platform to meet new people, and that's the main reason why I've kept it. But it is definitely a time consumer, and I honestly at this point I only send like 1 or 2 snaps a day because I feel a little bit like there's no purpose.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just felt like for me personally, I would spend too much time on it. So
Also, I think in some cases it can like damage your relationships if too much of it is online based.
Yeah, I'm basically with Melody on that, and I guess you too. I personally, I tried to use Snapchat for like a week, and I realized, okay, this isn't really for me. I have like 2 angles that I can use. Like I can't go down the shirt or something. Like that's not gonna happen. So like it just didn't make sense. And like after like one picture, I'm like, okay, what's next? Crap. So yeah, like it just seems mindless to me. Like I see like people on like Snapchat or something, and like they'll take like a picture for like 2 seconds, and then like the next minute they'll be doing it again with someone else, and it's like they're not really doing anything.
The only reason I keep it is because I have definitely like met new people on Snapchat that I wouldn't have met as easily in real life.
Just
And
like
I
random
realize that
people, or
they're like, yeah, it depends. Sometimes random people.
okay.
I like it's a good connection.
Yeah.
I just don't use it that much because I don't want it to like take over my life.
Yeah, I can see that. And like social media can be pretty scary with like people getting obsessed about like, oh, how many followers do I have, or oh, am I popular enough? Ooh, I didn't get that many likes, and people must not like me anymore. It's a
People,
weird thing.
they turn it into a quantifiable way of assessing themselves
Exactly.
socially. We have that like with academically with school, but I just think that once that starts happening, then it's having a negative impact in your life, and it's not there just for connections with other people. A lot of times it's just there, and the only thing you really care about is how you're coming off to other people, and that's defeating the purpose of social media, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this will be the final 5 questions. So what's the philosophy behind how you dress? Like what goes through your mind when like you're picking an outfit to wear?
So I honestly spend a decent amount of time like thinking about my personal style, and I try on a daily basis at school to look pretty nice and put together. I realize like most of our peers like they don't care anymore and they'll wear whatever, but I feel like if I wear something that's at least decently nice, it starts my day off a little bit better, and I feel like I'm a bit more put together with how my day will go along. Sometimes I just wear whatever I feel like wearing, or like something really casual, but usually it's like something that I picked out that I think is stylish.
I'd say for me, I think first of all, I try. Although it probably doesn't look like it, because I'm sure people are like, "Oh my gosh, why do you dress like every other teenage girl at her school?" But I try to get stuff genuinely that I like, and it's like I don't know if anybody else likes this or if anybody else like has this. So I don't know if it's like popular, but I like it, so I'm gonna wear it. You know, so stuff like that I definitely try to do. Um, I don't know. Some days I definitely desire comfort more so, and that's when the put togetherness um may be lacking. I'd say also some days I do like I guess put more thought into it because on days when like look good, feel good, I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily 100% true.
Yeah.
But definitely if it's something you feel more confident in, you just feel better, I guess, or like it's like I feel like I look good today. And then the other thing, um, I don't know. It's just I'm also like have high, I guess, pretty high standards for like how I dress like portrays who I am. I guess.
Yeah.
So I
I
guess
get that.
just dressing in a way that like makes you someone that people respect if they've like never seen before, not like business suit attire or whatever, but just dressing in a way that is
Representative.
like
I try to do the same
representative
thing.
of my personality and like my values. So yeah.
And your values. I like that. I try to like be mindful, and I want to and I try to like wear what I actually like. I felt like when I was younger, I would try and wear whatever was popular, but I feel like that doesn't properly like represent you. If you're just wearing whatever you think is cool.
Yeah, and I definitely had a similar mindset as Melody when I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to wear for the rest of my life? So like, when I was going to pick out a shirt, I'm like, okay, I want something that's downplaying. I don't want any logos. I don't want to be affiliated with any brand. I want a collared shirt so I look kind of put together, but like not crazy put together. I'm not gonna go in with a blazer. I want some nice khakis so that I look semi-professional, but not once again not like the freaking blazer guy. And yeah, like it's just something that you can be comfortable with and that like you think represents you well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. And like, yeah, that's definitely how I try to look at, I guess, clothing and everything. But I would definitely say like, because some people can't afford like to get like popular clothing or clothing that they want or that represents them. So it's like honestly, like clothing doesn't mean that much.
Take it with
like,
a grain of salt.
Yeah, like just as long as you don't come to school naked, you're doing okay. And like,
So some people stray the line.
oh yeah, don't even fully clothed, please. But I think also just remembering like, or even when you see other people at school, like it's more about. This sounds so cheesy, but who you are on the inside. Yeah, but I truly believe that like you convey so much more about yourself with like who you are, and that does affect your outward appearance. Like if you look happier or like because some people just look like more tired or sad, and just not as open to
Or
people.
approachable.
Yeah. So I feel like definitely focus on how you're dressed emotionally.
And it's a completely different thing for dressing over the weekend. Like if you're not around people.
Yeah, for me, I'd say I dress a little bit more daring on the weekend. I don't know how to explain that one.
I feel like it's the opposite for some people.
Yeah, like I'll go out on the weekend or something.
Yeah, if I'm hanging out with friends, I dress. It depends what we're doing. Like if we're just hanging out at my house or their house, I wear literally whatever I want.
Yeah.
But if we're going out somewhere, I'll try to like look more presentable. But honestly, every day I get home from school, I like the first thing I do is change. So like
same.
if we just had a sport, like if I have sports practice, I like shower once I get home and then I change into something comfortable. But if I like get home, I normally wear like Nike athletic shorts. I wear like literally like every day of my life and then like a t-shirt when I get home. So
I wear leggings.
Yeah.
As soon as I get home.
So basically that's what I wear when I'm just like at home or like on the weekends and I'm at home. That's what I do.
Okay. I guess this kind of segues into the leggings thing because I don't really want to get into the exact debate. I know exactly what you guys will say. And do you prefer wearing loose clothes or tight clothes? Like not in terms of like presentation, but just like in terms of what you like for yourself.
In comfort. Well, I like fitted clothes, I'd say, but with shirts, it's usually loose.
Yeah, I'd say for shirts, I don't like stuff that's fake because it's just really restraining and uncomfortable. I mean, I'll wear leggings and stuff, but also like a good pair of sweatpants.
Yeah,
They're
that hits
even
the
more
spot.
comfortable. So I'd say,
Also, I used to wear like super tight skinny jeans, and like as time has gone on, I'm just like, this is unnecessary, and I prefer wearing my
Yeah.
looser jeans. I'd say.
yeah. And I also really love wearing. I love wearing t-shirts. I love wearing sweatshirts. Like I'm wearing one right now.
I'm wearing one.
She's wearing one right now.
Hmm.
So definitely, I'd say looser is more comfortable. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that, and I just completely lost my train of thought. Okay, I'll just go on to this. So this is probably gonna be the last heavy question for today, and by last heavy one, I mean the heaviest.
Alright.
So,
Let's go.
what do you think is the biggest problem in U.S. politics today?
Okay. That's a great question. I think that a lot of times, politics isn't working to further minority groups in our society, in my opinion. I think there could be more with affirmative action and just like more efforts to promote equality between all individuals in our society, no matter race or gender.
I'd say for me, the big thing that bothers me, like politically, is how people, I guess, like treat politics, but like also, you know,
Different political views.
no, not that people have different political views, but I mean, I don't really like how people are like labeled by a party, and then like all of their beliefs have to fall under like
Yeah,
one party,
I get that.
because I definitely think people can have differing views on different subjects.
Mhm.
They don't all categorize under one thing, and also I think people are just very divided over things, which and are very argumentative over different things, which is understandable because a lot of these issues affect people very deeply, and
Yes.
so people are passionate about them. But also, I think it needs to be more about like actually taking action to change things than just like talking about what's wrong with things.
And I feel like some people are unwilling to be friends with other people based on political
Yeah.
views, and I think
Oh, that's
to like
ridiculous.
some extent, I kind of understand it, but I don't think that you're gaining anything from that because you're not going to change their perspective by ignoring them and preventing them from being in your life. And like, I feel like the best way to approach people with differing political views is maybe just avoid the topic. I think that you can support your political views without forcing them upon others.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily have to avoid with other people, and you definitely don't have to force on people. But I think like people just don't know how to have healthy conversations about things that because people are very passionate about different things, which is great, and we need people like that. And but also in everything, like even if you don't agree with another party or another person on an issue, ultimately it's healthy that everyone has different views because that's what brings balance and doesn't let anything swing too far one way because again everything in moderation. So like if there was only one party, like that party, no matter what party you're affiliated with, that party would be too extreme. So like you need another party like to balance, and you need people with differing views and opinions on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest problems is, yeah, that people just don't know how to talk with each other, and like they're just gonna either be unprofessional or immature, and like they'll just act like children about things, and it's a big problem. And like, yeah, for an example, I was thinking about this past weekend because I was at my referee recertification course. We have to like do it every year so that we're actually accredited for our work, and. What happened at the course was like somebody mentioned, like there was a question about, oh, if one of the kids is having some trouble, we should let the parents chew them out for a couple minutes so that they learn a lesson. And like one of the older people there like stood up and say, "You are absolutely disgusting, sir. I can't believe you would say such a thing." And like he was like, "I hope I never work with you again." And like it was absurd because the guy was like 60 years old and he was saying this to him. And like the other guy wasn't helping; he was kind of instigating him. But like still, like it's just not a way to act as a human.
Mhm. And I honestly have pretty like decently strong like liberal political views, but I like make an effort
Yeah,
to respect different views, and I think that's the healthiest approach.
absolutely. Okay. Do you, does can music affect you in any emotion? Like I know you were mentioning how like it can get you really hyped up in the morning or like it's nice and relaxing, but like does it affect you for any and all emotions? Or like are there some emotions that are like withdrawn from being affected by music?
I Yeah. I would say for me, yes. I think it pretty much affects. It can kind of stimulate different emotions. Like I have to be careful because when I'm sad, if I'm listening to sad music, it makes me even more sad. So
Yeah.
it's like you just gotta have to be careful also about it because music can have effects. Yeah, it enhances emotions. Because I feel like typically you want to listen to music that reflects how you're feeling in the moment, but you have to kind of be careful with
Yeah.
that.
Sometimes when I'm sad, I'll listen to like hype up music.
Yeah.
And that's like the only music I'll listen to when I'm sad, and that kind of just like gets me in a good mood. I feel like whatever music I'm listening to, it just like can mold my mood at that moment too.
Yeah, and for me, like going back to Christian music, but for me it's because it conveys like a deeper meaning and something that means something more to me personally. So for me, like if I'm stressed or something, I'll listen to that because it brings me like peace and it kind of reminds me of like what's most important, things like that. So I feel like definitely music can.
It's very fundamental, I find like.
Yeah, it's a very primal thing.
Yeah, I feel like it can definitely affect, your mindset and your emotions and everything. So, yeah.
Okay, and to wrap this entire conversation up, what would be your karaoke song?
Oh my.
Oh no. Contrary, okay, so my name's Melody, but I cannot sing for the life of me or do anything like musical. So that's kind of depressing. But something on Mel's Poppin' Jams, probably, honestly, probably 22 by Taylor Swift. That would probably be a song that I love that song, so probably that.
I'm not sure I have one. Probably some like Beyonce.
Sassy.
Or any High School Musical song. I feel like I could also hopefully nail, but
we'll just say like Beyonce in general.
Yeah, Jennifer will be Beyonce.
That's usually my go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, if I wanted something that would probably represent me, then probably something like Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I know that one sounds it's super depressing, but like it has some good messages. And then if I wanted to go for something that actually just sounded good, probably like Total Eclipse of the Heart, as if I could possibly sing that.
You could totally do it. I can hear it now.
Gosh, I wish. But yeah, that's all we've got, guys. I want you two to hang around a little bit after this. I want to get some follow-up. But thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you use, preferably iTunes. And
5 stars, guys. 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. All the stars. And yeah, thank you for listening, and goodbye.